Hey everyone, welcome to our new episode of Talking Ish Podcast Amongst Friends. As you can see, today's episode is a little different. I will be leading the charge. I'm Coretta with Beretta, Elaine Torgano, and joining me today is a menagerie of fine black men, as you can see. Our first will be Anthony, who is our friendly neighborhood super Negro. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I don't know if I'm gonna do the soundboard. We're supposed to be serious. We are serious
I
black
mean,
men
you can
today.
still, I know, because I still feel like I'm going to get a shut the fuck up in here a few times.
It
So
may not happen. No, no, no.
keep
I'm gonna
that one
keep that
handy
one lit.
just in case.
Yeah. But you know what? No, I'm gonna do a small little one because I don't do it for myself most of the time. So hopefully it works. If it don't work, oh well, tough tatas is not my friend today. So
Our regular, we have a couple regular guests and then some new ones. Our regular brother in pod, one half of the Was It Good Though podcast, Jason, is on the show. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing
there we
well,
go.
doing well. Okay, okay,
The audience is colorist. They like the dark skin dudes.
You see, I didn't get any applause, but that's fine. That's fine.
Very
Anthony didn't
colorist.
either, so that's fine. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm up on 24 hours right now, but I'm here.
Yeah, he's supposed to be napping, so for job number two, but he's here with us
Oh,
today.
then we got to make
Aren't
it
we
quick.
lucky?
We don't want
No,
him
No,
falling asleep.
no, we good.
because he's done
We
it
good.
before on his own show, but he claims that he hasn't. But
I
I
haven't.
digress.
That's cap. That's
I
lies. Those
digress.
are lies. There's a lie. I got the light in my face, so now you can see that I'm up and my
Okay.
He's
eyes are
awake.
open, motherfucker.
We have George, who is back because football season has ended, so he has graced
Look,
us with his melodious voice.
let's give cheers for that.
It is always good to be back. Always good to be back.
Rico, we have AKA Sneak is back again. Rico, you've been on the show just a couple times, right?
I've been on here. Yeah, I'm
It's been a
pretty much like
few.
I'm like bread man now. I just come down, take my sandwich, and go on about my
And-
business.
Chris is hitting us with a back to back. He was on last week. He is back
Yes, he
this
was.
week to join in the fun.
Welcome, Chris.
How are you, Chris?
Thank
How
y'all
are
for
you this
having
week?
me. I'm doing great. It's been a busy week, but a good week. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
And a newest pod member who has only been on the show one other time before we were televised is
Yes.
Hat Goat 83, aka Patrick Watt, is here for the second time.
What's up? Welcome, welcome.
Patrick, how are you?
I am wonderful. I'm blessed, highly favored, and alive, and hope I can stay up a little bit more longer.
That's
Yes,
highly
indeed.
highly favored. I can't say
Yeah.
that all the time.
That's a traditional black man greeting.
Hey, you know, we gotta keep it
Ain't
like
it though?
we
Ain't
got
it
some
though?
kind of a good upbringing around here.
God willing, the creek don't rise. If I'm here, I'm
Okay.
here. Okay, sir. All right.
So as you can see, I am the only
Femme.
lady, female. I don't know about the only femme, but I am the only
Ouch.
female
Femme.
on the pod
Okay.
today.
Shots fired.
You know what? I should be nice. I'm gonna try my damnedest to be as nice as humanly possible because today's episode is about black men. Them as a whole, them in conjunction to the community, how they are feeling. So today's episode is dedicated to black men.
So we're
Where should
basically
we?
doing this whole Black Men United. I guess we gonna call this episode, huh? Where's
I
Tevin
like that.
Campbell to tell the story when I was a young boy?
Oh,
Where is it? Where is D'Angelo to sing and let people know? You remember that
Not
song? You will
D'Angelo.
know.
Not
Hey,
D'Angelo. I do remember that
Hey,
song.
Yeah,
look.
that was what the Jason's lyric soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
something uplifting. Yeah.
We have a couple of confused faces. I would like to say everybody's age because some of the younger ones don't know anything about D'Angelo or Jason's lyrics. So, can everybody go around and say how old they are for just the sake of some of the discussions? Chris, your age, please, sir.
I am 33, but I am familiar with D'Angelo and Jason's lyric.
Have you seen the movie? Don't lie.
Years ago, yeah. My dad used to work for Tom Warner, so I've seen so many random movies.
Oh, okay. Jason,
Nice.
age.
I am 35 male.
Speak up, young
Single.
man.
Oh, I didn't speak up. I didn't speak up loud. I didn't speak up. I'm not loud enough. Okay, yes, I am 35. I know who D'Angelo is. I know his baby mother as well.
Have you
Also,
seen Jason's Lyric?
I've seen it countless times. I like watching Jada almost die.
Damn.
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 Is this what we doing on the Black Man episode? Okay,
I
okay.
mean, I'm just. I know Will Smith watches it over and over and just be like, man.
God.
Like if only in real life, is that what you're trying to say?
Right. Like, damn, she almost got her ass up out of here.
Horrible. Horrible.
Rico, your age, sir.
35. Yes, I know about D'Angelo's shirtless ass, and I know about Jason's lyric and his hating ass brother.
Was
That
it
nigga is
hate or
a
was it
hater in every
brotherly
movie.
love?
No, that nigga was a
Uh,
hater in every
that
movie.
nigga was a hater. He should have been on the player haters bar for sure.
I mean, he does
Yo,
kind of look like I'll watch a channel that calls him Evil Dave Chappelle. So
He
yes,
is. That's what he looks
he
like.
is. He
And he
literally.
plays a shithead in every goddamn movie.
You know
I
he
mean,
has
but
a punk group. He
I
has a
saw
punk
that.
rock
Keyboard
group.
Man?
Yeah,
Fuck out
and
there.
they're actually good. Actually good. He plays lead guitar too. Really
Okay,
good.
because he's not a vocalist.
And he plays an
No,
instrument?
he sings. He sings.
Oh.
He can
I
sing.
can't see him having a voice that
The things
sounds
you
good
know.
over
Right?
This
over
nigga's
quick bass line.
mysterious.
Yeah.
I feel like it
Yeah.
would sound like sandpaper and I wouldn't want to listen to it.
This nigga's
Yeah.
too mysterious.
not
He might be a
bad.
superhero for real.
Right?
It's like a DMX 9 Inch Nails collab. I want to fuck you like an animal.
George, since you are talking, may I have your age, kind sir?
I'm 43 years old.
Okay. Mr. Watt, may I have your age, sir?
41.
And last, but certainly not least in my heart, the super Negro, Mr. Sterling, your age, since you are the senior of the
I
show.
am truly the damn senior. From loss of hair to gray and beard. Oh man, I'm far.
I don't know.
No,
Hey, I'm
that's
bald too,
no,
dog.
that's young bald Negro look. Get out of here. No.
Oh,
I'm
no.
I'm
My
actually
hairline betrayed
47.
me years ago. Yeah.
I was just about to say my hairline was I need to let it go. I
Yeah,
wouldn't no need to hold on to it no more.
It was
Well,
just like,
I
oh,
see
they're
you
coming
gotta
from
let
the
go.
point.
I want to say something slick.
I see either bald heads or hats, so we just gonna assume
Listen,
what's
listen,
going
listen.
on under them hats.
Listen, I'm bald underneath this. So I'm bald. I
Jason got
Oh,
waves.
y'all about to get
Yeah,
seasick.
wait,
Hold
why
on.
he gotta take his shit off to prove a
Yep.
point?
About to get seasick, nigga. Somebody
Nobody
drop anchor.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a damn, bro.
I was a regular
Oh,
haircut
my
nigga. I don't think I
goodness,
ever
yeah.
produced waves.
He had to take that
no.
shit off to
Uh-uh.
prove a point.
No, I'm
I was the type of nigga that want to
47.
sleep with the do rag and the wet towel on. That shit never worked.
True. I'm the elder of the group. I am the oldest. I'm
The
47. Will be. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be 48 in June.
46.
Ain't no shame in it. No, ain't nothing poor about it. That mean I live life. I've seen some
I
things.
know that's right.
I could come up and say youngin. Don't do that. That's gonna get you 5 to 10. I
I
understand.
mean, they ain't gonna listen, but
They
They
not.
ain't gonna listen. You know what I feel like? Nowadays, I feel like I'm Fredro from Onyx, and I'm just yelling
Yeah.
at young black men going, do the knowledge, nigga. And I'll walk away. I just walk away from
yeah.
I keep that, man. I keep that little sound bite in my heart now.
Y'all be
'Cause I
saying
just
that.
see, yeah, like you just get mad at people that say stupid stuff, and you just want to be like, do the knowledge, man. Like, learn something. One day in your life, pick up a book.
I tell everybody the internet is the best, worst place on earth. These
That
young
part.
dudes get stupider by the day. I've never seen
Dude.
so many crimes committed on camera in my life. Like it got to be. I picked the wrong profession. I should have spent my time wisely getting a lawyer, being an attorney or a lawyer. I would have been filthy rich by the amount of cases I would have been able to prove on these young dumb people. It's
So
Dog,
low
ridiculous.
key, y'all opened up one of the subjects and one of the topics that I did want to bring up today. We can't bring up the clip, but there was a clip of Anthony Edwards speaking to Barack Obama that got a lot of traction on the internet this last week. And it was kind of based on an older man versus a younger man, the conversation between the two, and how the younger one was reacting to the older, especially since the older was our former president, Barack Obama. Anthony kind of opened it up. Rico, you kind of backdoored with the same information. How do y'all collectively feel as either millennials, elder millennials, and I don't even know, Anthony, what generation is your old ass? X?
Gen X.
Okay. So we've got
The
Gen
good
X,
generation.
elder, elder millennials, and then millennials. Because I think 35, you're a millennial, correct?
Yes. I
Okay.
think yeah, that's the end of
I think that's
millennial.
the end of millennial. Yeah. Like
Yeah, after
43 is
that
elder
you're
millennial, and
you're in the
then
Z run.
35.
So Chris is a
How
Gen Zer, I believe.
Nah,
is
hell
he?
no.
No, he's a
Is he?
millennial. Chris
He's
is a
Nah.
millennial.
34. I don't know.
You're
I think
Yeah.
you're
34.
34. Okay, my bad.
He's a
Wait,
millennial.
you're
Nah.
So
33.
millennial. No, so
I'm
wait. So
33.
40.
33.
It's like
No, if you're
42,
33,
43.
you're
Yeah.
not a millennial.
I'm a millennial. What you mean? I'm a
What?
millennial.
Yes, like 40,
Oh.
I mean,
like
somebody
40.
just use Google and figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
What I want to
Like,
say is like 42 is like the beginning of millennial.
No, 43 is
No,
millennial.
it's if you
Oh,
were born
okay.
in 1980 on to a certain.
80,
It's
yeah.
like every what
Yeah.
I
15
think it's
years or
80
something
to
like that as a
90. It's like
generation.
80 to
So
93 or
so Helene,
94 or something like that.
is a millennial and she talking all
I'm
this
an
shit.
elder. I'm an elder millennial. I'm an
Ain't no such
Right on
thing.
the
exennial.
cusp.
It's
Right on
you
the
either
cusp.
Yeah.
you either a millennial or you ain't, my nigga.
Hey,
And
I'm
you
an
listen.
is.
elder
How
millennial.
I
That
gauge
part.
Okay,
people is that do you remember
Anthony,
payphone or
give me
not?
a. Please hit the soundboard, please, on
okay.
specifically on
So
Jason.
when it's warranted, it will happen. Look, if you were born between 1997 and 2012, you are a Gen Zer. So
Chris,
Chris,
when
you
are
Oh,
you
were born
born?
when?
91.
No,
You don't,
my
you
boy,
don't, you don't put, you
my
don't put,
boy
yeah.
good.
That don't
Yeah.
that
My
that's
boy
not.
good.
I gotta
hey,
math
Okay,
that. No,
Chris remember
that math
okay.
don't
payphone,
make
So
so he
sense.
good to go, man.
he's
Right.
millennial. Okay, so we'll put him in. He's played Pokemon. He was there when
Yeah.
Pokemon hit. He's a
Yeah.
millennial. He's okay.
The
Yeah.
original,
All right.
not Go. The original
There you go.
Pokemon.
Okay, so
So
continue. Let's roll.
with that, how do y'all feel about either speaking to younger men about what they should or possibly should not do if you don't have sons? And do you feel like as an older generation that you should even speak to younger men about maybe what they got going on or what they're saying or how they're saying it to people? I'm gonna go around robin so you can all get a chance to speak. So I'll start with Rico.
Um, I speak to younger people a lot. Um, only because I was the guy that didn't have people to speak to. A lot of what I've learned in speaking with them is when you don't know nothing, it's hard for you to kind of show it to them too. So a lot of young people don't know that it's a different value and a different lifestyle of life because of what they have or what they see in front of them. I was fortunate enough to have uncles and stuff like that that unfortunately were in the system, got out of the system, and were able to completely change their life. So they gave me a whole different outlook and understanding about, consequences and stuff like that. I got it early. As far as like talking to young people, the best advice my father-in-law gave me was unfortunately kids are being raised in the world that they're growing up in, not the world that you grew up in. So the things and lessons that worked for you might not necessarily work for them. So the best thing for me that I've learned is just trying to find a way where I can find a middle ground and kind of talk to them and understand. Like a lot of them think that because you work a job, you a square. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have a past, or like you ain't never been a person that has been, with your back against the wall or understand what they're going through as well. Like we might not totally understand everything that they're going through, but we have enough sense and enough empathy as well to be like, hey, it's another way for you to do things. So it'd be interesting talking to young people. And one of the hardest things about talking to young people is they feel like nobody cares about them. And so when they go into that mode, it's kind of hard to kind of break them up out of that and talk to them.
Patrick, you shared a video with me earlier about it was a group of boys. They looked to be teenager-ish, sitting on a couch and getting a lap dance from a female stripper. And the comments were kind of a mixed bag. A lot of the women were like, I don't, that's not cool. A lot of the men were like, well, at least they're not gay. Let them do what they da, 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 da. How do you feel? Do you feel that that is a situation that needs to invoke an older person sitting those children down, or even an older person sitting that parent down and saying that's not something that you need to do?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And at the end of the day, before you become an adult, you still need to preserve your innocence as a child, no matter the depth of age. You're 16, 17, 18, you're still a child, and you need to, maintain that innocence as long as you possible. Because when you become a man or a woman, It's cold out here in this world. And so that video I sent you, I was kind of disgusted by it just because it's like, yo, they like they 12, 13-year-old boys, and you already putting their mind on the wrong track of how to treat a woman. And as a woman to be an object, and he's sitting there, they giving them money to throw at them and stuff. It's like, man, wait till you become a grown man to understand what you're doing when you go to a strip club or something like that, or how to engage with a woman like that. They already, especially because the kid's mom was in the video holding her phone and recording. And so, like, you as a mother already giving your son the okay to demeanor women like this, you know. I don't, you know, whatever somebody chooses to do in their life is what they choose to do in their life at the end of the day. But for myself personally, as a black man and trying to talk to younger black men, like I try to give them knowledge of the outdoors. I like to hunt and fish a lot. So I try to pass that knowledge on. So I know a lot of men my age didn't grow up the way I did, with, you know, having a father that was in the outdoor industry. And I able to learn how to survive if the world happens to go upside down and we can't go to the grocery stores, you know, get food. I'm have to realize lately in my older part of my life that I'm different than a lot of guys, a lot of black men my age, because I know how to do that. I know how to build and everything else. So if the world stops tomorrow, you know, I'm gonna be pretty good for a while. So I try to pass that knowledge on to, you know, younger black males so they can have that talent and not corrupt their brains and their mindsets with this thought of I gotta have this luxurious lifestyle of exotic cars, jewelry, and fast women. Like that's not life at the end of the day. Cause that can be here tomorrow and gone here today and gone tomorrow.
George, may I have your 2 cents, kind sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the responsibility to be, a mentor or OG, whatever you want to call it, is, something that you have to take on. Like I've had, of course, I was raised by a single father. Uncles, cats at work, cats in school that looked out for me and kind of put me on game and was like, hey, young blood, do this, or, you may not want to do that, or sit your ass down. You definitely need to hear that as a young man. Now, if you're open to receive it, is something totally different. And I think that especially now dealing with this younger generation, I'm much more close to what my father and my uncles, like the way that I grew up and the way that they grew up, were not completely different. And dealing with, I'm 43, about to be 44, talking to a cat that's 21, 22, we're light years apart. And the idea that, he gonna look at me and number one, it's not gonna be sir, it's gonna be Unc, which is, some different shit. But he gonna look at me and be like, say, Unc, I don't even know what the fuck you on, or whatever it is. It's something different. So like I say, as an older guy, do I feel like I have a responsibility to mentor? Absolutely. But it comes to a point where I can't just, grab one of these, YNs and shake them by the shoulder and tell them what they are and aren't going to do. Like they've got to be receptive to it. Now, would I talk crazy to Barack Obama? No, because I'm being, being a president means something different to me. Well, not now, but back when he had it, it means something different to me. But to each their own. And like I say, and the idea that you bucking up to an older generation. I mean, depending on what the circumstances are, is something we respect a lot. So.
Chris, with you being the youngest and the closest to the what we call the YN stage, how do you feel about either mentoring or speaking to them or anything of that sort?
Um,
Are you
I,
unk stat? I don't think you're unk status yet, are you?
I got a couple friends in the group chat who was calling me He's like 25,
Well, they're
and I
haters, so don't talk about that's fine. That's fine.
um, but yeah, I don't think I'm quite unk status, but I think that so a couple things that Rico had mentioned about people caring. So I feel like the only way that you can care is that you have to have a relationship with them. So if I just come to some 20-year-old and I start preaching to him, you need to stop doing this, you need to stop doing that, it's going to be easy for him to tune me out because it's like, who are you? Who are you? You don't even know me. You don't know like my backstory. You don't know what my motivations are. You don't know anything about me. So who are you to say like what I should or shouldn't do? You don't. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances for why people can get to the places that they are. Us all being black, we know that we can look at something like poverty and see that okay, like there's a lot of things that could have gotten us to this point as a community. So that also works in the individual level. So I feel like as for those who are unks or whomever, like if you're just coming up to these young boys and just like preaching to them, you're gonna be tuned out. So I think that's the first thing. And I think also, I think that sometimes now that I'm getting older, I feel like I'm still young enough to remember how it was when I was young, as a YN, as George has said. It's really easy for us to feel like the old people think they know everything. And then if someone is coming at you as like they are know it all and that they got all the answers and they got everything figured out, like now that I'm in their position, I know it's because they just made a lot of mistakes. But I think that the older people need to reframe it as a way of that. I don't think that I know everything. It's just I've made those same mistakes, and I think that that's really important. It sounds basic, but if you're coming at them as a know it all, like they're gonna be like, now I'm gonna look at your flaws. I'm like, okay, if you got it all together, why why aren't you married? Why doesn't your kids don't talk to you? Why this? Why that? And that may not be fair, but that's how, like, realistically, that's how they're gonna come at it. So I think that it's just relationship building, and like I can't save the whole community. So if it's just like one person, I need to start there. I think sometimes we see a community at large and we feel like we all need to save them. I need to get a relationship with one, and then I need to start there. But something that Patrick had mentioned, just want to spin back that about that video. That's I'm not gonna go as far to call that like a pedophile, but it's close to me. That's really weird when you're sexualizing kids. Like, I get that. I was just having a conversation with someone about some of the stuff we did when we were young, not just talk about myself, but my peers. And we were doing things, not even just sex, like drugs, drinking, we had no business doing. So just to sexualize like 12 and 13, that's gross. That's just really
Yeah,
nasty.
too.
And
Wow.
yeah, that's really nasty. And especially as a 33-year-old man looking at that, those are kids. And I feel like with black men and black boys and girls, they get over sexualized at a young age. And the last thing, I don't want to talk too much. We were talking about music. Wayne was talking about how Birdman set up his first sexual experience with an older girl. He was 11 and she was 14, and that's disgusting. And now we see how Birdman has they I'm not gonna call Birdman a pedophile. I'm not gonna say that, but that relationship is odd. And I feel like when you are creating those weird sexual encounters for young kids, that's weird behavior at best. Boozy had did something similar with his kid, so
Yes.
it's like I'm
It
not
got
gonna
him kicked. It got him kicked off of IG because he did it on IG Live.
as he should have. So I just wanted to point that out. That's gross. That you need to let children be. I think George had mentioned. Someone had mentioned. Let kids be kids. Don't set them up to have sex. Like, teach them about sex education. Teach them about boundaries, consent. Teach them about how those things work. But like, as far as you like being like a pimp and like set, that's nasty to me. So they need to stop sexualizing kids like that.
Anthony, since you are the resident older head, do you think that you know everything?
No. But back in my day, when we were raised on hose water and neglect, um,
Right.
we understood how to live life because we lived hard and we lived foul. No, I am the older cousin now. The funny thing is that
You
my
are unk
older
status.
I
You
am
are
on
unk.
status. And literally, I got two nephews that sometimes I fear when they come ask me questions, I'm like, man, I might be leading y'all astray. But hey, guess what? Good luck. It's what happened with me. Um, I'm gonna look at this situation with Anthony Edwards and Obama as just a young dude and an old dude having sports conversation. And Anthony Edwards was defending his teammates because they were
He
literally
was.
popping noise about basketball. This wasn't a life advice that Obama was giving. Obama was popping top trash about his team. So as being the captain of my team, I ain't gonna let you shoot, send no strays or even some straight shots at my fellow teammates. I'm gonna defend them. So that is that. Now, if it was about life advice or hey, you know, I'm trying to defend myself because I think that's what a lot of these younger men are doing. It's more of a defense than anything else. And me at that age, that's how I was. I didn't want to hit the elders most of the time, but I had something that I think a lot of those kids nowadays, and maybe I'm wrong, the respect level is not what it used to be. But I think the respect level that I know I got didn't come from a loving place in a
At
lot of
all.
ways. It
It
came
was an
from the
ass
belt.
whooping.
It was a whipping. It was stern talking to. It was I'm taking that Nintendo. I'm selling the games. Good luck. Goodbye. Um, it was harsh punishment. it was almost like torture. And
I got
with
a
a lot of
backhand once. That was
oh
crucial.
oh yeah, I got popped in the
Yeah.
lip
Yeah.
multiple times. Don't talk back. Don't say nothing. And I think, and I'm gonna say this. I agree 100% with Patrick and well with everybody who's spoken. There are ways now we can talk to people who are younger than us, and that also helps break a cycle on how to conversate with younger generations. Now you don't have to come in and talk about, oh man, I had a lot of riz or use their slang, but you can come with understanding of, hey, what you're doing, and that's something my dad taught me. He said it don't matter what you think you know or what you've done, we've done it already. It was just under a different name. You could talk about how you're wavy and all of that and you got swag. Oh man, that was us being just cool, dope, debonair, whatever. Different name, same meaning. And I think when you decide you want to start talking to the younger generation, especially young black men, you have to go where they are and not be afraid of it. And that's what I liked about the whole Anthony Edwards and Obama thing. Obama wasn't backing down on this YN, but that YN ain't backing down on Obama, regardless if the man was a president, you know. But it wasn't a disrespectful conversation. The tone sound disrespectful, but it wasn't like, man, fuck you, Nick. You don't know nothing, blah, blah, blah. Because I guarantee you, right when Anthony Edwards would have got to the F, he wouldn't have got to the U because the Secret Service would have took him out.
Oh no, I would hope he would not go to that point.
And I think that's it kind of felt that way because the way Anthony Edwards was getting pressed on it and he was pressing back, but he was getting a little more, hey, look, man, he want to be a rooster. His feathers were fly. They were out there. You
I
not
think they
going
had to settle that one on the court though. It looked like they was
yeah.
ready to go for the ones.
They
Well,
wanted
They
to
just
go
settled that on
play.
the court.
and anybody
Exactly.
that
We know
knows
Barry get
anybody that
busy on that
knows
court.
anybody that knows Barack Obama knows he's a big basketball guy. Like he
Yeah.
played through his presidency. He made it a point to play. He's gone on what's the show with the motherfuckers that I like? The motherfucker that always wear the suit, the custom suit with his initials on it.
Oh,
Pivot
Those are
not
podcast.
football players.
Pivot
That's football
podcast.
players, but still, like he's gone on
okay.
like
You talking
sports
about Pivot with
podcasts.
Ryan Clark?
Yes, Ryan
Yeah.
Clark. Like he's gone on
Okay.
like you would see him in the gym shooting around. He's at
Yeah, he's a
basketball
huge
games. So
sports
he's
nut.
he's a big sports fan. So it's like the camaraderie between the two was cool, but he's like Anthony seemed a little defensive.
But I mean, Anthony
Yeah,
Atlanta as fuck. I mean, that's just that's his brand.
that's
Okay.
who
Yes,
they
he
are.
Yeah,
ATL
yeah.
Yeah.
to the
That's
court.
how he get down.
And that's just him, period, as a competitor. He gonna tell you, no matter who you are, when he stepped on the court since he's been a rookie, I'm that guy. And you
That
gotta
is
Right.
deal with
still
me
the
tonight.
president.
It's
That
gonna
is
be
still the president of the United. Don't get out. Don't
hey,
get tackled out here talking
he
But
spicy
here's
to
the
the
thing.
president.
you gotta realize it's a basketball thing and a male thing.
Right.
He in a sport that's an ego dominated thing. It's like the biggest thing between like LeBron and Kobe and Jordan. They say LeBron doesn't have that killer instinct. Well, Anthony Edwards in killer instinct is the same as Jordan and Kobe. You step
Right.
on his court, I'm gonna let you know who you on his court with all night long. Just like in the playoffs last year when he was in Denver, he told the Denver locker team, "I'll see you next week for Game 7." He has
And
confidence in himself. That's just his
yeah.
way of showing his confidence. And like George said, he ATL all the way through and through.
But again,
Lord
you
Jesus.
have you have someone like a Anthony Edwards, and then you have somebody like a Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
I ain't gotta talk. I'm gonna just let my skills show you who I am.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is a lot of talk, but his skills back it up.
yeah.
Now,
I got
does he
something to
want to
say
run?
about that. Anthony.
Hold
Hold
on,
on.
Rico. Hold on, Rico. Because
Now,
I don't want to leave out Jason. So hold
oh
on.
yeah,
Anthony,
and
you go ahead and finish up your
I'm gonna
statement. Then I
finish
want to
up.
get to Jason.
But for me, I think in the long run, this is where I 100% agree with Chris. We can't come in preaching. We can't always thump a Bible. We can't always thump the good word. And I'm not using that as a religious thing, but we have to be understanding of where these young men are, where they are in life. And we have to use our life experiences to understand, look, we're basically you were where I was, you know. And if I can give you that advice, cool. Because here's the thing about advice, it can be accepted or it can be rejected. I said my piece. You want to use it? Cool. If you don't, hey, hard head make a soft ass. Good luck. Peace.
That part.
Facts.
Jason, my friend, what do you have? Now, I went to you last purposely, not because, I'm the hater that y'all like to think that I am,
You
but
are a hater, but okay.
because Jason is the only one on the pod that has young sons. So as a man with young sons, and we're talking about whether it be not necessarily preaching to them, but guiding young men, specifically young black men, how do you go about that? And what is your, like, how do you view older men counseling younger men or your children or whichever?
Um, it so it's a bit. I don't know. I guess it's something that it's uncharted territory for me. Because of course my first kids they were daughters, so it's a little bit different. And growing up, my father was in my life, but he wasn't. Being in the system. And then when he came home, but it was more about he left at 26, coming back. He's in his mid 30s, around the same age I am. He's getting back accumulated to the world, and he's trying to figure out life. So that there was never the bridging of the fatherhood. That relationship was never done. That situation never was done. Like, I don't hate him. I don't have any ill will toward him. Like, I understand. So I give grace, just understanding that somebody who is 35, who's fucking up, who's fucked up, doing things, trying to raise kids, but also trying to be a better person at the same exact time. And at times it can be contradicting. So when it comes to raising kids, there's certain things that I see in my kids, especially in the sons, that's a little bit different. So like I can see, like, my son, he likes to be around women. His teachers has already told me he's a big ladies man, whether it be the teachers, whether it be the students. He's always around, wants to be around them, and he doesn't understand space, or he doesn't understand these things. So it's a thing of trying to get him to understand. It has to be consented. You have to ask them if you can touch them. You can't just go and grab, touch. You can't just go and feel. But I also, same time, I got to make sure the women that's around him also make sure he has that sternness, because if he doesn't have it, it only will become a bigger problem later down the road. Because if he doesn't understand, he can do whatever he wants to today. It's only going to gradually get worse as time goes. And I'm just like, man, that's a problem we don't want to deal with. And it can't just be a thing of, like, I used to hate it when my oldest daughter, when she was a kid, I was used as the boogeyman. I'm gonna call your dad, and it was the whole thing of the whole thing of me being used as the fear person and bringing the fear into the person. But it's almost like now I get it. I was 19 then, I'm 35 now, so I didn't like it. I didn't understand it now, but now I understand in that. But it also can't just be left on me to be the only person that's being like that or being that way toward them, um, when it comes to that. But the biggest thing, kind of like just piggyback on what everybody has said something different, but it's an amalgamation of everything what everybody said. But it is kind of a bridging of the gap between the two. Because I often have, like I said, the main, I don't really speak to kids unless I just see them kind of wilding too much. So I have a brother that's 11. I have a brother that just today he actually turned 28. So like you just I see it on both sides. So me being able to have conversations with them, like the 11-year old, time he got a girlfriend and the stuff he be doing, like, hey bro, chill, let's relax on all that. You just getting into middle school. I promise you're gonna enjoy all these different things. But I don't do it from a preachy level, but I do it like on a brother level, like, hey, this shit, let's go get some peace, and like, let's, have a conversation. What's going on in high school? What's going on with this, da da da. And he, for some reason he wants to be like me, and I'm just like, yeah, you should be better. I don't know where you get that from. But then you got, like I said, the 28-year-old, he's a teacher. And that was my first son. I tell anybody that was my first son. That was somebody. If you see me as a kid, I didn't really grow up. I told you I didn't really grow up with friends and things like that. My brother, if you seen me, you seen my brother with me. I wasn't the one that used to get mad about, I got to go miss XYZ. I don't care. That's my brother. That's gonna be my dude. And even to this day, it's just like, that's just who that is. So just seeing like how he handled certain stuff when he be in public, because try to he's way popular, more silly than I am. So just certain stuff he did, I'm like, bro, you gotta chill out with how you act. Like
You
it's
telling
not
somebody to
funny.
chill out? That's wild.
Exactly. So I'm saying, so you know it's wild, and
That's wild.
if I'm telling somebody to chill,
That's wild.
it gotta be crazy. I'm like, bro, you gotta chill out. That's a bit much, but it's just, I mean, just understanding. Um, like I said, it's just you just gotta understand to be able to bridge that gap. Kind of like Chris said, you gotta have that relationship first. You can't just go into a preachy moment. And I'm never like that. And like just based on where I work at, people, girls and boys just come in there and they always coming for advice. So they always asking different stuff, and it's just just having those conversations like, damn, I really done came into this. I guess it's unk status or fatherly status, whatever it may be. So I don't know. I just accept the role that I'm in and still trying to figure out life as I go.
Rico, what did you have to say?
To piggyback off George and Anthony point about Ant and Jalen Hurts, I was gonna say the cachet of them is two different people. You see, and I hate that I'm finna say this, but you see a person that was groomed with parents versus a person that was rooted in survival. It's two totally different. It's two totally different mindsets. It's two totally different people. So the Jalen that you see has a lot more poise because he's been in situations where he's had to be poised. Anthony Edwards is fortunate enough to have the talent to take care of his family from here on out, but he's never been in that position where he had to be poised. All he had to do was hoop. So
So what
it's foreign territory to him.
But what
at what
I'll
point
say,
does that poise come into play though? Like at what point do you say, I am not my past. Let me let me be better or let me change up the trajectory of what I'm doing and not live in survival mode
Well,
and kind
For
of
they gonna have it both kind of poised, but Jaden's gonna be a little bit different just because he
no,
plays a
but I'll say,
quarterback
oh,
position.
sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
he plays a quarterback position, so it's a whole different thing than a basketball player. A basketball player can be more expressive on the court than a quarterback is, especially being a black quarterback. And you got so many quarterbacks. They always think that we're not supposed to be quarterbacks to begin with, but now they're starting to come around to you got to have a dual threat quarterback. So Jalen's going to be a little bit different just because of the position he plays, and it's not. You don't look at quarterbacks being that outburst guy that's so loud, is talking trash all the time. Like you see it with Lamar a little bit, but he knows when to reel it in all the time.
George.
No, I just want to say that I mean personally, and I haven't seen the video with Anthony Edwards and Obama, but I find Anthony Edwards to be refreshing because he's genuine. I think that a lot of times, and I mean, Jalen Hurts just strikes me as a quiet dude, but especially on the NBA level because they're starting to train these guys as professionals so young. All you get is a bunch of cliche machines. Like nobody says shit, nobody's outlandish. Like if you think when we were young, the Charles Barkley out there talking that crazy shit, Deion Sanders throwing water coolers at reporters and shit. Like it's okay for somebody young to buck the system because, like Anthony said, yes, my respect. I'm still at 43 years old. I have an aunt that's like, stop telling me yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, you're a grown up. And it's like, I can't because that's something that was beat into me. And I mean, not, well, in some cases beat into me, but
I was gonna say no, that was literal.
yeah, but in a big scheme of things, everything, just because it's what I'm used to doesn't mean that it's right. And so the idea that, Anthony Edwards, like, yo, President Obama, you don't know shit about, you know what I mean? Like basketball, whatever it is. Like, hey man, you worry about running the country. I'm gonna worry about going out here and hooping. That's okay. Cause I mean, you gotta realize like Muhammad Ali could have shut the fuck up and gone in the army, but he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, as sad as it was, who was that? Jesse Owens came down to the '68 Olympics, or the Black Power Olympics. They sent him home crying. They're like, "Yo, this is not your fight. You don't understand what's going on." So it is okay to be outspoken. It is. I mean, you can show reverence, but you can still come from a place where you're bucking the system. Because, like I say, everything we grew up with is not right.
fact, and he gonna learn it. He gonna learn it as he get older. He's gonna learn it. Just Jalen has already been in it. It's kind of one of the things. Like I said earlier, when you don't know it, you don't know how to apply it. So as he gets older into the NBA, I agree with George. I appreciate the authenticity in him being as honest as he wants to. He's gonna find out a way to merge the professionalism and the authenticity
Authenticity.
together. Yeah, he's going to find a way to merge those two together the same way that Jalen has. But
Yeah, I mean,
again,
dude's
Jalen is
23
very
years old. We shouldn't expect
exactly,
a finished
Yeah.
product. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
But I mean, if we go on that route, we get to look at LeBron coming straight to the league at 18 years old, and he was already basically molded in who he
Hmm.
wanted to be. He was brash, but he wasn't brash to the point where you're looking at it, you know, you kind of looking side eye. You know, he
He was
understood his
brash, but
skill,
not disrespectful.
not
Yeah,
disrespectful.
LeBron had the
Now,
best PR people on earth at that
but
time.
again,
He did. He did.
Anthony Edwards
He did.
wasn't disrespectful.
No, he
Anthony
wasn't.
Edwards was just talking. The level
competitively.
you give me
Yes,
is the level I bring to you, right?
Yep.
exactly.
And you didn't see Obama going, well, young man, you're being very disrespectful to me. You know what LeBron, you know what, I'd say LeBron, excuse me, but you know what Obama did?
He called
Obama
Give it
LeBron
said,
back.
over. He called
he said,
LeBron over.
come in, because we gonna talk about this little hood rat right now.
Right.
And that
That's
and
exactly what
that's
it seemed like.
and that's what we do as black men. We gonna bring in the crew, and we all gonna have the conversation. And LeBron just went, nah, he's not lying. He is that man right now. But in LeBron mind, he kind of had a little Michael Jordan moment where he like, yeah, he that man, but I don't see no ring on the finger. I don't see no movement. I don't see no traction in what he doing. He was being a little old man petty, an old sports guy petty. And
Hey, you
that's
got
what
to be that
happens
way.
with, yeah, you got
You
exactly,
got to be
Patty.
that
You
way.
gotta be that way. You gotta show, oh yeah, you the man of today, but where you gonna be tomorrow?
Yeah.
You might be the guy right now, but I've been the guy for this long. And even Anthony Edwards had to kind of dial back a little bit, even though he was like, man, come on, man. Nah, man. Y'all ain't nah. You better recognize who we are. You know, because even Joel Embiid, I couldn't stop laughing when he caught that. No, he's got some 7 footers. He's got 3 7 footers, but y'all can't stop him? Yeah. Now you got to defend it. But I didn't find disrespect in any which way because it wasn't a
I don't think
life
it was either.
conversation. It
It
was a
was basketball talk.
basketball conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So to the
And
people
that's
who
how
were
people
like,
talk.
and to
Well,
the
so
people who were pissed off, well, you're talking to the president. Look,
They don't know
that,
ball.
yeah,
They
that
They
never
don't
go
know
office,
around the
ball.
space table. Then they
yeah,
will not
Yeah.
ever go around the space table.
They
I
hide
will
Man,
in
you
no,
say,
Obama
365
came in a
days
locker
yeah.
years
room
of
and started
season.
talking to basketball players about basketball. Like, what you expect? Like,
exactly.
Exactly.
yeah.
It wasn't like he
That's
From
a
was
the
saying,
fact.
what do you
comments,
think about the conflicts in the Ukraine? No.
from the comments in the video, it was more, and I will, as I am the only one today, I will speak from a woman's perspective. In the comments in the videos, it was more women saying that it seemed disrespectful than it was men.
Hmm.
So that can roll into the next topic of just kind of relationships and how women hear things, how men hear things, how men communicate, how women communicate. Women heard that video and said he was being disrespectful to the president. Men heard, then saw that video and said, these are two men talking about basketball and talking about sports and two men being men. There were no, to them, to outwardly to men, it was like there was no disrespect, there was no yelling, the voices were not raised, there was no cursing, there was no one calling anybody out their name. It was two men having a talk about what their perspective. For Anthony Edwards, my job. This is my job. So you can't
Hmm.
come to me and say that I'm not doing my job when in fact I am, and I'm going to defend my job. So in a relationship status and women kind of hearing what they hear, men hearing what they hear, just the dynamic of that, we see and we talk a lot about the black family structure and how women tend to raise their children, how men tend to raise their sons, or how women tend to raise their sons. Do you see, and we brought up Jalen Hurts, do you think that those men were raised in the same background by the same kinds of people, and that's the reason why they are totally different kind of beings when it comes to how they play sports and how they interact with, whether it be reporters or just the public in general? Family dynamic in the black community, is it something that is strong? Do you feel that it's not? And do you think that, as far as communication for a family in the black community, are women raising sons different? Well, women raising children different, and are men raising children different? Even if you don't have children, I mean, you were a child raised of a family, so you should have the background and the fortitude to say, "I was a child raised in this," versus I am a man raising children. So, Rico, I know you have a daughter,
Yeah,
so
mine's gonna come off a little brash, but it comes from a place
go
of
for it.
love. My whole purpose when I had my daughter was be the father that wasn't afforded to me, right? So everything that I do, and my dad is alive. We just don't have a relationship, you know. Same situation as Jason. You know, he was in jail. He got out. We tried it. And what I learned, because I did therapy myself too, what I learned about my dad was he couldn't get over his selfishness. You know, he wanted to be the person. My dad was in the early '80s and '90s where we stayed at was him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a big time drug dealer or whatever, and he just couldn't get out of that zone. He always wanted to be that, and he always wanted to be looked at as that instead of just wanting to be a regular person. And unfortunately, it just the smallest things get to me. Like I had a conversation with my dad, and the conversation I had with my dad was be a better parent to my grandchild, or be a better grandparent to your grandchild than you were a parent to me. And he couldn't even understand it, and it hurt me, but it also made me take a step back. I forgive him and everything, but the relationship isn't there. And so as far as like what parentage and everything look like, I don't carry a lot of the things that my mom and them um brought me up on. Um and just out the gate, I already have broke a whole bunch of different, timestamps and curses or whatever people want to call it. Like when I got married, we had a child after that, and then we bought a house after that. So I was like the first person in my family that bought a house, and just a whole bunch of other things that I was just breaking and just doing, and I just saw just life differently. Like things was just different for me as a whole, and I felt like a lot of the things that sometimes parents bring on the kids, like as I spoke about it earlier, it's like a lot of survival tactics, and you don't have to be that person. You know what I'm saying? Like you could really grow up to be the person that you want to be. You just don't have to fall into those same lines that your parents did, because a lot of the times parents didn't know what they were doing either.
We don't.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
still
Like exactly, everybody is still learning, and you can give them the same grace, but you can also learn if you really sit down. Like I think somebody has said, if you really sit down and just listen and learn, you can be a much better person.
George, you mentioned that you were raised by your dad.
Hmm.
You don't have any children, but being raised by your father and now, your mother and your mother have a good relationship. Do you see that there was a different dynamic in how he raised you versus how she raised you?
Oh, 100%. But they're just wildly different people. I'm not I always joke. I was like, my mom will tell me stories about my dad. I was like, "Are you sure you're married to the dude that raised me?" Because, that's we're telling two completely like my mother at one point didn't eat leftovers, and my old man was a king of like. Don't you throw that good food away. You put that shit on the stove when you get hungry, them peas and them carrots be right there. And so it's different. But I think that for me, I think that there's not a guaranteed recipe, and I've touched on this before on the show. Like Donald Trump has five children by three different women, and you can tell from the interaction that the one by Marla Maples don't even fuck with him, don't even know him,
Mm-mm.
and nobody would ever do an interview with Marla, whatever what's her name, Tiffany, whatever name, and be like, hey, how was it to grow up without a father? I think that's something that is pushed in the black community in a way that like I have white friends that grew up with single parent homes without moms, without dads, whatever, and it's not a thing. Like it's not a thing like, oh, I grew up without my dad and I'm fucked up behind it. Like no, like you live your life, and I mean I don't think that there is, and I mean parents on here correct me if I'm wrong. Like there's not a blueprint for raising a perfect kid. There's
That's
not
a fact.
just what I'm saying.
Facts.
It's not
That is a
classical music.
fact.
It's jazz. You got to zig and zag. You got to go with it. And I think that like I was raised by a single dad. Would I be a different person if my parents stayed together or my mom raised me by herself? Sure, but I don't think that I'd be out here robbing liquor stores. You know what I mean? Like I think that there's several different ways to raise good kids. Is a family unit great? Is it important? But I think that we concentrate and take that, hey, my family's not together, and we paint that as a black problem, and that's just a problem with society. White people getting divorced,
Fact.
Asian people getting divorced, Hispanic people getting divorced. And I think if
And
there,
we lean on to that.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think if there may be a destruction of the American family unit, or the family unit of the world, just because number one, people are living a lot longer, and number two, women out here doing it for themselves. It's just like I've heard women in my grandmother's generation speaking. It's just like, hey, if you was especially as a black woman, if you wanted to leave your husband in 1957, it wasn't a whole lot of shit you was gonna go do. Like you weren't gonna go be, hey, I'd like to manage his office, and it's like, oh no, ma'am, secretary sit in the front. Like that's some different shit. So I think that because people live longer because women have more options. Yes, there's a higher divorce rate, but I don't think that that means that people love their kids any less, or that that I don't think there's necessarily a straight line, because I mean there are criminals that come from two parent homes. There are criminals that come from had dads whooping their asses every day. Like there's just not a guaranteed recipe.
The thing that people forget too, George, is that raising a kid, regardless, you're a parent forever.
Yeah.
But the one thing that people don't want to
For
admit is
fucking ever.
it's a stopping point where that child is going to start making those decisions for themselves. That's where the tide changes. And so after they start making those decisions themselves, how you got to figure out how you can meet them in the middle somewhere, because they're going to be the child that's going to say, "Well, mom or dad, I'm an adult now. I can make these choices myself."
And like I said,
That
Helene,
is
if you want me to
that is
drop them
definitely.
the military recruitment pamphlets over at your house, I mean,
Look, because 23 and 20, I need them to get the fuck out of my house,
it's
but
like,
that
son,
is
you ever
another
consider
story.
Space Force? Yeah.
Oh, that is a whole nother
Baby, they
story.
shooting lasers at satellites, baby. Go on, go on, put that application in. Yeah.
Shit. Jason, as a man with children, the family dynamic. What are your thoughts on said dynamic?
Hold on. Based on hold on.
Yeah, clear your throat because I know
I
you got a
wanna.
lot. Clear your
Well,
throat.
we doing it based on the. I'm doing it based on the. This and this.
What is your-
I was gonna read the question because I'm just reading it based on that. I do think.
Do you think?
Yes, I do. I do think it has a place. In America or in the world or whatever. I do think we as black men have to um, do a better job. I guess on our part, because I mean, you can't. It's never one person's responsibility. It does take two, but oftentimes it can be one person um, not trying to make the situation work or doing everything else but focus on all the outside things as opposed to what's in the house or inside the household. um, so yeah, I do think it's an important thing. Like say you see stuff on TV now, which I do like seeing the black like the black. I do like seeing the black families on TV because I don't really have white friends like this. So stuff like that doesn't it doesn't appease me when I see that. I'm like, I break this shit up. Let's let little Timmy go to the school, shoot the school up, go do
Oh,
something.
sir. Oh, Lord.
My bad.
Welcome to our last episode of Talking Issue.
Oh,
We
shit.
get canceled. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
Lord have mercy,
no.
Jesus.
But yes, I do think the black family is is an important thing. But I do think it should be a real thing. Because oftentimes I know one time I forgot what it was. We were talking one time. It was on the episode, and you was like, "Shit, that's what all our grandma said. They wish they didn't." But I don't want it to be a situation of you being married 30, 40 years, and like, I wish I would have did something. Like, no, this is the person I chose. It was you have your time, you have your troubled times, but you want to be like, yes, this is the person I chose. I'm happy I chose this person to do life with, to do a family with, and to do these things with. My parents got married in '96, and they still married and split up since '97. Like, and that's just like that's the type of the household that I was raised in, and now they had you have kids on the dad has kids over here, my mom has kids over here, um, and then you have me.
Do
I
you consider that blended family to be a nuclear family, or is
how the
it something
how the
different?
fuck is it new? How is it blended? These motherfuckers are not with have not been with each other since '96. It's 2025. That was 30 years ago. No, it's
But they're
definitely
still
not.
technically married, are they not?
No, they're still married. Yeah, they definitely married, but they they with
Now
other
that's a
people.
black problem, not having money to pay for that divorce.
That is
Like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, that's a black problem.
That's it. That's it.
Like,
So
shit, you
they
gonna
not,
put $1,500? No, you gonna put $1,500 on it.
and it's the
I
thing of
can
everybody,
speak to that personally.
and it's the thing of everybody pushing it to the other person. Of now, this person don't want to, or this person don't want to, and it's like, man, y'all, I don't know. Um, and as I say that, I kind of feel like um, I, I feel like is it a I feel
Yeah,
hypocritical.
hypocrite. Say hypocrite.
I'm trying to get to it. You chill out, Coretta. Shit, you didn't stop King on that bridge. No, anyway. Uh,
Wow.
so, so as I was trying to say, I feel hypocritical because as somebody who has made broken homes multiple times, and saying, "Hey, I do believe what I do believe in. I still do believe in a nucleus or have a black family or having a black family. Um, but it's I don't even know if it's you know better, do better, grow, whatever that situation is. But yeah, I do believe in that.
Look at all that accountability coming out of Jason's corner today.
Yeah, yeah,
I see it.
it's something.
Patrick, nuclear family with the black community. You have daughters. What Jason said, like he is creating what he considered to be broken homes. But you raise your daughters differently than their mothers do? And how do you feel about the black nuclear family?
Um, wow. Okay, I'm kind of speak off of like personal experience. Like Jason, I have created two broken homes, families, and from personally, I feel like I came from brokenness because like everybody in my family was never with somebody, or my dad's parents were the only ones that were still married till they dad died, but they pretty much weren't because they were in separate ends of the houses for like the last 40 years of their marriage or whatever it may be. I do think the black family is important, but I think a lot of us don't know how the black family should be or what the black nuclear structure should be like
That
because
part.
so many of us grew up in single parent homes or like I said our dads were incarcerated or our moms just wasn't there for us. So like for myself personally, I never knew what a black family or just a family in general nuclear structure should have looked like. Like I said, like mine just was always people that were the people out immediate to my family were always by themselves. And so I want to change that dynamic, but I'm also scared to change that dynamic as well, just because I don't know what the hell I'll be doing in that situation. And I just don't want to have any more kids at this point. But, I just don't know how to, I don't know how the situation should look or how to go about that situation just because of where I come from.
Anthony, as a man who I know personally, whose parents were together, you had married parents in your household, your father was around. But being also a man that is unmarried and has no children, the way that you were raised, do you think that you would be prepared to raise children and be in a positive nuclear relationship since you saw one? Or do you think it's like a learning curve as you go along?
It's got to be a learning curve, but it's also a selfishness for me. I don't want to share shit with nobody. No, I'm
Oh
joking.
Lord. Look, George, put your goddamn hand.
Damn right, Anthony. You're damn right. Get your freeloading ass the fuck out my house. It's the last diaper. You better learn how to potty train your fucking self. Much as this baby
Oh
food costs,
man.
take your ass and eat some of that goddamn chicken I made for you. Roast some teeth,
Oh
nigga.
George.
No, it's kind of strange because my family dynamic is traditional.
Mm.
My
You are
parents,
by far the most traditional person that I know, I think.
and look, there was arguments. There was, well, I'm leaving. All right, well, pack your shit and go. And yes, there was a moment where, me, my sister, my mom, we left, and then it turned into, oh, I can't stay. Yeah, you screwed up. And my mama had to live in the land of accountability. That is hard for some black women.
Oh,
And
this is true.
we went back. And my dad used to say straight up, look, I came in this world alone. I'm going to live alone. It is what it is. But then I realized something. My dad spoke with bluster, and my dad really played the bluffing game a lot, because at the end of the day, he couldn't live without us and we couldn't live without him. And it was seen on his deathbed, to be brutally honest. Like I had to ask myself, what is a family? And to see him in that hospital and seeing my mom, my sister, myself, and we're just holding on to him. Now, this is on the physical side, right? I finally understood what family was all about. Through all the love, through all the pain, through all the joy, through all the BS. My dad, who came in this world, who was a single child, because let's be honest, my grandfather was in his 30s, my grandmother was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
My dad lost his dad when he was 11. So he did not have a father for the rest of his day. He had older men who kind of guided him. And like he said, some of them guided him, some of them just tried to play my grandmother to get the money. To see that even when my daddy said, look, I could go through this alone, I've been alone. But to find us at the end of his life still there for him, this is strange. But I'm a selfish person. And the children that I have are not mine. They're my nephews. And I am good with that. If I was to procreate and have two kids, and don't say I haven't, I just know they ain't got no little nigglets running around with sterling blood in them. I know this. And if
I'm
there
not that
are,
confident.
You paid that $500?
I had to pay that $500 out. I paid that 50 cents out the
No,
vending machine.
your voice went up real high just now.
Oh,
Oh
I
no,
didn't know kids
I
what it was.
He
again.
got a one that like to drink.
Mhm.
No, I all my children are in little rubber sacks in the garbage can.
Oh Lord, have mercy, Jesus.
So the beauty of it is, and that's not me being ugly. I know me, and I'd rather not bring a child in this world and stay selfish and continue to be me, because I noticed that even with my nephews, my selfishness has died a lot, because they will come and ask for something, and I am like, here you go. Here you little crumb snatcher. Go on. But I'm also not afraid to show love towards them, because I could easily spoil them and give them back to their mama and like be nah nah nah. And that I'm not like that at all. When they need, I'm there for them. I don't hesitate. I don't question it. I don't say anything. I am there because that's
Uncle
how my
Anthony,
dad was.
can I have a new T-shirt then, Uncle Anthony?
Fuck you, no.
I wish
You
I wish your
you
mindset
ain't
was
blood.
was universal though, and I'm be honest with you, because even for like the Jason or whatever, or Patrick, right? For even though y'all quote unquote created these broken homes, the responsibility that y'all still have is, hey, at the end of the day, my responsibility is to this child, and I have to make sure, excuse me, and I have to make sure that this child is taken care of. What I'm seeing a lot of is I'm seeing a lot of people have kids, and then they get on they take the internet as like a diary space for them to shit on the people that they have kids, right? And I used to get on this platform, right? Seriously. The
Oh,
craziest thing,
Rico.
I used to ask people, like, if you see that this person act or look a certain kind of way, why do y'all put yourself in them kind of positions?
Ooh,
Hmm.
Rico.
I just asked a serious question. That's
Okay.
not
We're gonna hold on that question. Let me get Chris, but I do want to venture into that question. Chris, the black nuclear family. I know you don't have children, correct?
No, no kids.
Okay. Have
Oh,
you
can
ever
I
been
say something
married?
right before we
Go
get
ahead.
to Chris?
Go ahead,
The
Anthony.
new the family dynamic, just like with life, adapts. So
I
what
agree.
what we're holding on to this so-called nuclear family, the
Can look
husband,
different.
wife, yeah, the husband, wife, two kids in a car and a dog, or the
Yes.
2.5 kids in a car,
And the white picket
that
fence, it can look different.
it looks
It
different.
does.
And the funny thing is that that is something, and this is not no hatred towards white folks. That is something white folks created. That is something white society in America has created. It's very Eurocentric too, because at the end of the day, if you look at who we derive from, who we
You sound like
come
Dr.
from,
Umar.
oh, trust me, I ain't no, it ain't nothing about Umar. I ain't got no school. I ain't asking for money.
So y'all the
It's
same.
very Eurocentric. It's very y'all wrong for that. Hell with y'all.
And you like women, and you like
Oh man.
and you like Nubian princesses, right?
Okay,
Yeah, but
Nubian.
keep in mind, there's a snow bunny on the corner. There's a snow bunny around the corner. That's those type of cats. But again, we have looked at what we have been taught in this Eurocentric way, or even in a very Christian way, that we are not supposed to multiply. The Bible says be fruitful and multiply, but at the same time, it's saying you got to be fruitful and multiply with just one. That ain't how it used to be. So there are some folks that are sitting there that are going, I may not fit in this category, or
Ooh, we
my
gonna touch on
family
that in.
dynamic doesn't fit in that category. So the nuclear family is something very American, and very kind of very white at the same time. But again, you can have a strong family and not be married.
Say
Hmm.
that one more again, Anthony.
You can have a very strong family and not be married.
Hmm.
I have
One
seen it.
thousand percent.
I have family members who are not married and they have a
Hmm.
tight household. Them children
Hmm.
are raised properly. And you can also have a family where it is just one parent and there are children. And those children have been raised to be good, upstanding people. It doesn't always have to be what white folks tell you what it is.
We look
You
at the
know.
nuclear household and say it's a mom and a dad and their kids, but
Yeah.
then how many people are living in this lifestyle? Like Patrick said, his grandparents lived that way and lived separate lives in the same
Yeah.
house.
My grandparents were like that.
That is not a healthy nuclear space for anyone to be raised in, because you're
Okay,
not
number one,
seeing two loving people. You're seeing two people that are
right.
like, I'm stuck with your ass. I'm just going to be
They
here.
roommates.
Yeah.
They
They bosom
roommates.
buddies.
Yeah.
But also the
Ultimately.
word nuclear, you can't go in the nuclear plant and just frolic. You gonna burn to ash. So I don't even understand why that term nuclear was the thing. How about just what is a strong family dynamic? Is it two parents and kids? Two parents in the household? Sure. It could, but again, you have those outliers where one parent raise children to be great people. And
Hmm.
also, it doesn't always have to be man, woman raise. Now you got two men raising children. We've all saw Three Men, the movie Three Men and a Baby.
You
We've seen
stupid.
my two dads.
You
You
stupid.
know, there are two women in the household that raise great children. We that thing is changing, man. These things adapt. They change. Tradition, the true
That's what I was saying
tradition
earlier.
is change. Not,
Yeah.
well, it's been through the family for centuries. No, traditions change. That is the constant. Things change. And if you
My
can't
mom and them
adapt, it is what it is. That
my
was my
mom and
whole
them be
outlook.
so pissed that I be doing everything opposite of them and I'm still succeeding. It's just like I my most favorite analogy to people is 6 and 2 get you 8, 4 and 4 get you 8. No matter how you get there, you still get to 8.
Get there.
That's
Right.
my favorite analogy. And people, my mom and them used to be like, well, why are you doing it like this? Because the way that y'all doing it, y'all took 50 steps to get to one place. We
Yeah.
don't have to do that no more. Like life is progressed. Like we don't have to do those same things that y'all did. Like it's different now. And it's the dynamic is so weird now, but sorry, Chris.
Chris, go ahead, my dear.
So the question is just asking about the nuclear family.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm glad Anthony added that caveat. So my background, so I grew up with two parents, so I was fortunate in that way. They were married. I mean, I'm sure they've had issues, but I have no trauma or anything like that for them. But I would say that I'm biased. I know a couple of the fellas have mentioned that they created broken homes. So I'm my mother's only kid, but my dad has two other children. So he has three kids by three different women. But I feel like, and I was having, he was wilding a little bit, but he was, but for me,
Was it
and I
while
was,
he was with your mother or before or
no, no, no,
after
no, no,
you?
no, no, they're older,
Okay.
they're
Oh,
older,
okay.
yeah, they're
Okay.
older, but they're born like 2 months apart, so that's why I say that.
Oh.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
that's why I say
Okay.
that,
Hood
Okay.
twins.
Project
yeah.
Twins. Yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and I'll just tell you how he was wilding. So he was married when he
Yeah.
had them, so he was wilding, but he's a good guy. But
Nobody
Hey,
said it, but he is a
hey,
good
Chris,
guy.
you gotta say that on there.
This is a
You
man.
gotta tell
This
that
is a
on there.
man's panel right here, baby.
I mean, he's cool. He just,
That nigga, he was cheating a little bit. Nigga,
I
he's
mean,
a good
he make a
man,
living
though.
every once in a while. I mean, shit, yeah,
It's
yeah.
Little
He
bit.
wanted
okay.
to,
I mean, who
hey, he
doesn't?
wanted to dip his chip in that nacho. I ain't mad at him.
Hey, look, Chris, don't take nothing to heart. I found my grandfather's second family when he died, so it's
oh,
nothing new. It's
Baby.
oh
nothing new.
Y'all
no,
ain't the only ones. Y'all ain't the
oh
only
no, no,
Yes.
no,
ones.
Ain't
no.
That's my
nothing new.
dad, yeah.
Y'all ain't the only ones.
Oh no, no,
Nigga,
he was always upfront about it, so it's nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, he obviously doesn't like. He's not proud of it, but it's not a secret. So like, it's
right.
still, it's not a dirty secret. But I guess for me, and I was having another conversation about deadbeats. If you're taking care of your kids, that's not a broken household to me. And maybe I'm
Right.
biased because
That's a
I've
Amen.
good way.
seen
I've
that.
never thought about that like that.
Because this is the thing, and I was talking to someone, they were just saying as long as you're paying child, the argument they were making is that if you just pay child support, you don't have to be in your kid's life. And to
Oh
me,
no.
and I disagree. If you need
Yeah,
to
that's
be
no.
child support, so you don't go to jail. So you
Yeah,
paying that,
that's for
well, yeah,
you.
yeah, dead ass.
That's
That's for
true.
you. That's
That's
because like
facts.
you and the mom couldn't become to an arrangement, so the law had to get involved. So you just paying child support is bare minimum. I'm not giving you credit for that. So, but you, and again, I'm biased because I've seen my dad be in each of my brother and my sister's life. If you're in their life, I'm not going to call that a broken home. And especially like what Anthony was saying, the world is changing. Women can have the autonomy to get divorces now. So going back to what Helene, what you were saying, my mom's best friend, her parents, they were married in a horrible marriage. They've been together 50 years, but they were roommates and they hate each other. Is that healthy?
Hmm.
But if we base that by the standards where they're together, they have one kid together, this is a nuclear family, this is a happy household. But when you peek inside, you get to know them, it's not healthy. So kind of going to Anthony's point, what does healthy mean? What does nuclear mean? So sometimes, like sometimes what's best for the family is that we break up and we just raise them, we
That part.
cohabitate from apart. So for y'all, if y'all are taking care of y'all kids, if y'all are in their lives, if your kids know you, if your kids trust you and love you, I don't consider that a broken household. And I
Amen.
try to be pretty honest and transparent, so I wouldn't just say that just because. I wouldn't say anything. So I truly don't believe that that is a broken household. It's only broken in the sense that y'all aren't like physically in the same place, but kind of like you have to have a household that is happy, that is healthy, that your kids feel safe. If that's your creating, then that's not broken. So I
Hmm.
so kind of going back to the next point about the nuclear household, it really is whatever works for you all. And I think sometimes we forget that, like we focus on the kids, which is important, but also like, are you and the mom, are y'all happy? What kind of arrangement do y'all have? Because if the kids are seeing you and mom unhappy, that's gonna fuck with them too. So that's going to have a negative impact. So are y'all happy? And I feel like whatever makes sense for that household, whatever makes sense for that family dynamic to work successfully is what we should consider nuclear. So kind of just kind of going down the rabbit hole a little bit. I was talking to my mother. So I'm glad you asked this question, Helene. I was talking to my mom, and she was saying that if she was a single mom, she would have ruined me. Like, I think she was exaggerating, but what she was saying is that she would have smothered me, she would have been overprotective, and she would have made me
Yeah.
soft. And like, that is possible. I still think she would have been a great mom, and I'm definitely not anti-single mother. And I think a lot of black men need to like get off of that. Like, they have
Fact.
like a lot of negative energy towards single moms, and they need to stop doing that. But I understand where my mom is coming from. But if it was just me and my dad, there were things that I would have not had gotten the emotional intelligence that I believe I have. I wouldn't have necessarily gotten that with my dad in a lot of ways. So you
Fact.
I
need
don't know.
both.
I don't know. Jazz doesn't think you have very much emotional intelligence, but we'll let
I,
that. She
I mean,
did say she's your biggest hater, so
she
we'll
is my
let
biggest
that
hater.
one ride.
And you see how she just be hating on me out of nowhere. And you see it. You see it. I say hello, and next thing you know, I'm getting shots at me. So I'm
Right.
glad you see it. But like, I feel like life is about balance. You know what I'm saying? You
That,
don't want to have
that's
too
where I
much
was
of
about to jump
anything.
in and
That's
say,
it.
Yeah, you
you need
need
that
a little bit
balance.
of everything. So I needed things from my mother that my
Hmm.
father didn't have. That's like with anything, going back to sport.
Fact.
Like you can't have we talking about basketball, you can't have five guys that are just shooters and do nothing else. You need someone that can create for them. You need someone that can complement one another. So you need
That's why
that.
each position is made the way it's made.
Exactly. You
Hmm.
need something. If you the shooter, but let's say you can't put the ball on the floor, you may need me, my athleticism, to create for you. So that's. But one thing I did want to spin back to that George had said earlier is that I thought was like really profound. Is that you mentioned that like non-black people they don't get those questions about like, hey,
Hmm.
how was it growing up without a single parent? I'm sure that that's happened, but I've never seen that happen. And one thing that like sometimes the worst traits get associated with black people: poverty, black on black crime. You know, what anytime you put if you put white people in a community together, it's going to be white on white crime. So any type of people in close proximity are going to have crime, but only black people have gotten this a name for
Or
it.
they go label it just
Yeah.
crime.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It'll.
But
Yep.
anything else is crime. So like it's just interesting that all the worst traits get associated
Hmm.
with black people because George is right. Like we don't it's only us that we have to answer for why we grew up with an absentee parent. No other race has to make that. And the last thing that I'll say is that I'm sure like watching the NFL draft, I've seen like the analysts come on and ask kids the young men like, well,
Yeah.
how was it that your dad was incarcerated since you were 3? What the fuck does that gotta let me stop cursing. What does that have to do with
Fact.
anything? Only black people have to deal with that. I don't see any other like white, Asian, Hispanic, and there's this idea that like they're absolved of that they've got everything figured out. But I know Jason doesn't have white friends. I've had some white friends, not as much, but if you get to know them, they be on bullshit. They be on some bullshit too.
They be on
Oh,
some
most
fucked up
Yeah,
bullshit. You
they
definitely.
be
know?
on bullshit
Most
too.
Sometimes.
definitely. Elon Musk got how many children by how many
12.
women? Donald
12.
Trump
But
got
single.
how many children by how many women?
Five.
What's fucking Al Pacino got how many kids by how
Yeah,
many women?
A lot.
De
What's the
Niro,
other motherfucker? Al Pacino.
De
What's the
De
other
Niro.
one?
Niro.
De
Robert De
Niro got
Niro.
how many?
Hmm.
Fucking who the hell else? There was somebody else that we were talking about has a plethora of children by a plethora of women, and it's never marketed the way that it is with say a Nick Cannon with the baby mama,
Mm-mm.
or it's oh he's got these women that are mothers. It's not the baby mama syndrome, and it's
Right.
not a broken home, uh, for whatever the reason may be. But it's always different when it does come because the black women and the black men are baby mamas and baby daddies.
I will,
Jason,
I
Jason,
will say,
speak on truth.
I will say, I do have one white friend named Cody, but I do think I'm his
This
friend
nigga named
because
him. He said his
I,
name.
I think, I
Shout
think
out to the homie Cody.
I
Shout
think
out to Cody.
I think I'm his friend because his dad's a racist. I think I'm his friend. I'm his
Oh, so you the token black.
I'm him rebelling against his father
Yeah.
because his father was a cop, and
Oh, you the I have a black
I,
friend.
I don't
You
gonna say
the
that.
black friend.
His
You are
dad,
the black friend.
I think
I want you to know I have a
his
black
dad
friend.
his dad was a cop, and I
Yeah.
think he killed. I think
It,
he
it,
killed the nigga at the same
okay.
Okay.
exact time. Yeah.
And
Secondly,
you know, oh, sorry. Sorry. No,
I
go
gonna
ahead,
say
Jason. My bad.
at my job, I live in the area that you're talking about, and I live, but I work in the area that you're talking about, Chris, a poor white community. So, like maybe that's why my spirits have been lifted, even though I've been like been so down because I just see so many. I see so many broken homes within these white communities. I see so many white people on food stamps.
No, you
I
are
see
not
so
Paul
many white
Mooney in
people
this.
on WIC. I
Nah,
see.
Right.
No,
Right.
seriously. I see so many white kids that beat their parents up. I see so many white parents that be beating their kids. It's just so
Not
much
they beat their
no
of it. It's
offense,
like
parents
but
up.
I was like, oh my god, y'all go through this. It is. I'd be so shocked. Like, man, maybe I should have been around more white people to know. Like, I didn't know y'all
No.
did. I didn't know y'all went
And
through
now,
these type of things.
but Jason, but real shit though, like for real though, I know you joking, but on the real though, it really is eye opening because if you just go by the news, movies, like
Hmm.
hearsay, they will have
white
you
people got it
thinking
together.
they got it
Yeah.
all together, bro. Like you really kind of
Well,
need that, bro.
you know what I think it is though, but and y'all are welcome to say if I'm wrong. Um, it's because of population density. We are only what 10 to 13% of this country's
Supposedly
population. We're
13%.
Yeah.
13%. They're 50, maybe 55, almost 60%. They're dwindling in numbers. It's easier for them to ignore that facet of their community, of them, than it is for us. We are so, how can I put it? We're kind of pack rat in a lot of
We
these
status
cities, right?
based, a lot of
We're
us.
very, yeah. But if you look at it, we are in large minority, like big urban cities. So it's easier to number it, it's easier to point it out. And when you think about it, white on white crime, black on black crime, that's proximity crime, right? It's basically
Hmm.
what it is. Now, the term black on black crime wasn't created by white folks, it was created by us. It was created by us, by our politicians, and then it got into our music. Remember, no one was yelling black on black crime as this thing until you heard it in songs like Self Destruction. We're all in the same game. When you started hearing politicians like Charlie Rangel talking about the black on black crime that was happening in his district, which I believe was Harlem. You never heard it when until you heard folks like Public Enemy and Spike Lee and even, Al, as they say in Do the Right Thing, do Sharpton. They were yelling that term so much that it was easy for white America to latch on to that term and use it not as a way of, okay, well, we need to find why this is happening and let's help fix it, but to use it to throw it back in our face when we speak about police brutality, when we speak about poverty, when we speak about our homelessness, when we speak about the ills that they have, but it doesn't affect the larger mass than it does with us because we are a smaller population in the country. So it's so much easier to talk about, man, look, cops are killing us yeah, well, what about the black on black crime in Chicago?
But
What the
Anthony,
fuck
you
does
say it
Chicago
doesn't
have to
affect them because they're a larger population, but or are they just not airing it out the way that it seems to be aired out with
that
us? Because if you make
that
up
right.
55 or 60% of the population, chances are the shit is happening way more often than we know about. It's just not
It's
being widely
mhm,
scoped on the news.
exactly. It's easier to ignore because
The
we can
internet.
put, yeah, we could put up a propaganda of, hey, we smell like lemon pledge and shit's all good here. Oh, that? We ain't got to worry about that. That's white trash. No one cares about the trash. That's easy to just look past. But for us, because our population numbers are smaller, it's a much easier to pinpoint.
Yeah, and
And we
white
got to
people.
take some
There's
kind of responsibility
Hold on,
too.
hold on.
no, it's a needle in the haystack kind of thing. You can ignore it until you sit in the haystack and the needle hits you in the ass. Because even
George.
with police brutality, the biggest thing was, oh, well, black folks are always complaining about police brutality. What was their way of combating that? Well, there's police brutality in the white community.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't you speaking about it, you dumbass? If the police are knocking you upside your head and they're the public, you're paying for them to beat you upside your stupid ass head, why are you not fighting about it? You pissed off because black folks have finally said, we had enough of this and we're going to speak out on it. But in order to play us like we're the fools, well, y'all are just doing it for you, but it's happening to us. Well, why you were not in them streets and protesting? Why you not at the city council meetings and making it known? Because you don't care about your poor cousins.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And that's just it. Just be honest. You don't care about the ones you call white trash. You don't care about
And
Trailer Park Tony. You
you know
don't.
the saying. If it don't affect me, I don't care about it.
That part.
Exactly. And for us, it's sad because we don't have that privilege to say that. Because what happens to little Jamal on the street is going to happen to us, period. And that's not a fear tactic, that's just a fact. And
George, what you have to
sadly,
say?
it's happening with us, with who are cops.
No, but and the issue
That's it.
with poor white people is they're just not in sexy places. Like I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, the year that I got out of college, and would go out of town. Every weekend back to Atlanta, up to Chicago, Indianapolis, wherever the hell I could get, and spent a lot of time in parts of Kentucky that nobody should ever visit. And when I say podunk white folks not only exist, there's more of them than rich white folks. Like just math has to be the math. But the other thing, and the great trick that the media pulls, is that Chris Rock had an old joke. It's like, hey, when you white, the sky's the limit. When you black, the limit's the sky. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you still get to be poor and podunk, but you're still white. So like, you can take a bath, get a haircut, put on some new clothes. Nobody knows where the fuck you come from. You walk in, especially because I mean, white people use these terms like DEI and immigration and all this, that, and the third. And really, like, when you think about poverty, you think about black poor people. Like, oh, we're gonna stop funding people that don't want to work, don't need my tax dollars. Like, they're not thinking about poor fucking white people. They're thinking about us.
But
And
The inner city.
yeah, yeah. And
The
so,
inner
but like I say,
cities.
like I watched it was like 60 Minutes, and it was like it was a super poor county in Kentucky, and the principal, the teachers are saying, like, if Trump kills the Department of Education, if he takes his federal funding away from these schools, 80% of these kids are on, some kind of free lunch, whatever it is, some kind of public assistance. And that, he said probably 50% of that population, when they leave school Friday, they probably don't eat until they get free breakfast when they come back to school. And I mean, all white faculty, all white kids, and every one of them motherfuckers voted for Trump.
Yes.
Everyone, like, the reporter was like, "Hey, principal, who'd you vote for?" "Hey, teacher, oh, I voted for Trump. Yeah, I wanted to, I thought he'd help America, but not like this." And the
It's
thing
literally the
is,
leopards are eating their
no,
face.
no, no, no. But I mean, again, but the veil of whiteness, like, yeah, he's just gonna take money from poor black people. Like, wake your ass up. Like, why
That's
in the
how I felt
fuck?
about watching the Puerto Ricans, George.
Yeah,
That's how I felt about watching the Puerto Ricans. Like they was asking the
Yo.
Puerto Ricans and the Mexicans, like, "Yo, who did you vote for?" Like, Senor Trump, Trump.
yeah, yeah,
And then one of the
Not
dudes, like
Senor Trump.
a couple weeks later, this dude like, "I voted for Trump and he's taking my wife away."
yeah.
That's the first time. That's one of the very few times I've seen black people all look at each other and just look at him like, "Nigga," like, duh. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, the sympathy that you want, you ain't finna garner from us,
Not
nigga.
from over
Like,
Or
here.
just where it was.
You are living and fuck around and find out, and you are now finding out, and you are
facts.
finding out that we don't give a shit.
No, and it was a dude that popped up on social media. I don't know if you guys saw it or talked about it in a previous episode, but he was like, "Oh, well, the Hispanic community came out and stood with y'all during Black Lives Matter, and then y'all not
Bullshit.
supporting us for for all these illegal deportations." I'm like, "Yo, we ain't vote for no goddamn police brutality. You voted for this shit. This motherfucker said he
Facts.
was gonna build walls and empower ICE and take away all these civil liberties from law enforcement. Like, this what you wanted."
but Helene, something else I wanted to point out. So I know, going back to the black on black crime, I don't think it's just like about white people, like, because there's more white people, because they have terms for that. They do have, like, the trailer park trash. These aren't my words. These are things that people say. Trailer park trash, white trash. These are terms that they call for, like, low class people. But I don't even think, like, bringing up the black on black crime, I don't. What I think it is, I think it's, like, more insidious than that. So, like, if you look at, like, the history from, like, Reconstruction to the war on drugs to, like, the crack era, that there have been tangible efforts to disenfranchise black people. Like, that any opportunity that black people have had an opportunity to build generational wealth, property, it's been stolen. Like, to
Facts.
voter suppression, redlining. I won't even go all down the things. It's depressing. Like, a lot of people think that I think 1921 attack on Tulsa, that was
Mm-hmm.
like an anomaly. There were tons of towns throughout the country that black people had something, they were building wealth, and it was stolen from us. I was reading a book, and they were just saying that, like, one of the older elders, they were saying that, like, when we were left alone, we thrived. So, like, but every time that they were left alone, a jealous white person will come and steal it. So, but if I bring that up, if I bring up all the tangible things that white supremacy has kept black people from education, from land, from generational wealth, like, they use black on black crime as a way of shutting us up. So I think it's deeper than just, like, or it's just more than just, like, because, like, we do it more than them. They do it as a way of making excuses, because if you have to acknowledge it, now you have to do something about it. But if I say, well, you guys, like, you're just killing each other, why should we? It's a way of shutting us up when we start to bring up, like, the history and the ways in which, like, white supremacy has kept black people from having a level playing field. So I don't think it's just a matter of just saying that, oh, all these black people are doing it. Maybe, like, on the interpersonal level, but I think on, like, a systemic level, I think it truly is that, like, you have to acknowledge that, like, no, black people have been given limited opportunities, and I'm just using this as an excuse to shut them up so they can't actually see the history and see that no, black people have had opportunities to be on the same playing field, but it's been stolen from us. So I think it's
You
But
ain't
un-
more
lying.
than just that.
but unfortunately, we have those like what's with the gums? What's his name? Tim Scott? Is that
Tim
the one with
Scott.
the gums or the other one?
With the thumbs.
Yeah.
Him, the Candace Owenses of the world, those goddamn twins that will sit and talk about that black people are sitting and we're rooted in this history and we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps bullshit. And instead of acknowledging that what has come, what was in the past has affected this current, what has affected us currently, they will try to say, well, enough time has passed, you should have gotten over it. But yet we're still talking about remember 9/11, we're still talking about remember the Holocaust, we're still talking about these older events and remembering those. But when we talk about systemic racism, it's, oh, you should have gotten over it by now. And as
Well,
long as we have the blacks in the house that are telling the blacks in the fields that you should have gotten over it, they will listen to those in the house and be like, well, they're saying that you should have gotten over it. So why should we have to do anything about it?
which is why in 2025, I request that all of our black asses on 9/11 start wearing All Buildings Matter t shirts,
Nigga,
and we will keep it moving. And let's see. No, seriously. If you want to talk about get over it, let's start getting over it.
with all of that being said, the way that we have been set up just to live this normal, the life that we call normal now in 2025, as black men, the black community as a whole is not always the most trusting of doctors, unfortunately. Um, how are y'all as black men navigating not only your physical health, but your mental health? We have gone through so much as a community when it came to how we are affected, how we are treated, that even to this day, there are very young men that just refuse to go to the doctor or to get help for mental illness or to see psychiatrists. How is that either affected you? Do you go? Do you not? Do you, are you living in the the wayback machine and saying I don't need a doctor, or are you like I need to go to a doctor, I need to see someone, even if it's for your physical health?
Hell
Um,
no. I pay this
I
insurance. I'm getting all that shit.
Rico, God damn it, Rico. Let's start with Rico then.
I'm getting all that shit. I get
I'm
I start sneezing. I get a cold, anything. I pay this insurance. I'm going for all of that shit. Nah,
Rico
shout
say
out to
I'm
my
meeting
wife
that
though, man.
deductible.
No, for real. Shout out to my
Okay.
wife though, man. For real. Like she don't be
Ah,
fucking around.
but that was another point. Do you does it take your woman, your women, your mom, your wife, your girlfriend getting you to take your black ass to the doctor, or are you resilient enough to do it yourselves?
No, I definitely used to be a stupid Negro and be like, oh, I got a cold. I can just go drink a hot toddy or something. Like, nigga, you have strep throat. Go get some shit done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, go get fixed. But shout out to my wife though. Like, she do not be fucking around with that. Like, nigga, we need you here for as long as possible. So go get
That
your
part.
shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, go get your shit fixed. But I wasn't. I also wasn't a person that was afraid of, um, going or therapy or any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I worked in mental health. I seen what it can do to people. Go get yourself if you're not feeling good about something. Well, let me take that back because a lot of people it's a caveat of things of why people don't go. The number one reason being stupid shit, honestly, and money. Because it'd
Mm-hmm.
be hard for a person to want to look at a $5,000 bill when they ain't got lights and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a different, it's a whole different kind of feeling. But again, it's kind of one of them things where people can extend their lives honestly if they just go do the simple shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't want to go for a
Maintenance.
cold or nothing, like yeah, you know what
Maintenance.
I'm
Mhm.
saying? Literally, you
You
gotta
take
treat your
care of
body
your
like a
car better
car.
than yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta treat your body like a car, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like so, even if you don't go for every little thing, you know what I'm saying? Go 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Every 6 months or something like that. Just go get
Get
checked
your
out for
get your
preventative
year
shit. Like
get your yearly.
um one of my friends, God rest his soul, was able to extend his life a little bit longer from diabetes. He didn't even know he had it. He started knowing. I mean, unfortunately, it beat him, but he was able to extend his life a little bit longer because he was starting to do the things that was necessary. You know what I'm saying? And you always come up with the question, well, what would happen if I would have went earlier, or those type of things. So it's kind of one of them things where it's just like, if you got it and you got the means and opportunity to do to it, just make your time and just go do it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care what that is as far as your mental health and stuff too. Like, we as men deal with so much that we don't speak about. That
So
is a
much.
real thing. You know what I'm saying? That is a huge thing. Niggas would rather struggle with it eternally than to go out and tell somebody about some shit. You
That
know what I'm
part.
saying? And what end up happening is, once we get to a boiling point, it's almost like in Marvel terms, like a World War Hulk situation where nothing can stop you at that point. Because at that point, you feel like you've taken every avenue, you know what I'm saying, in yourself to be like, all right, well, what if I did this right, or I did this right, or I did this right, and then you just have a meltdown, or niggas just flip out. So, um, I'm an advocate in telling people like, yo, just go get yourself checked out and do what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the first thing I told my wife, like, I don't believe in that happy wife, happy life shit at all.
Facts.
Cause I've seen people break themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, grown men break
mm.
themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because society tells you got to be him. You know what I'm saying? And you can still be him, but you can't be him if you ain't healthy.
Ooh,
Mm,
Yes,
And you
mm,
can't be him if you ain't got your mental together. Your whole house fall apart if you ain't together. I've seen it happen so many times where people whole life fall apart for them not being together because they not doing the things for themselves. And so I'm a huge advocate on just telling people, whatever that look like for you, do it.
mm-hmm.
Because you go find yourself in a situation constantly where you constantly putting other people before yourself, or you doing things that's not detrimental for yourself, and you burning yourself out. We burn ourselves out a lot
yeah.
because society wants us to think that if you're not doing this, then you're not a real man. Or if you're
Ah,
not taking care of this, you're not a real man. You know what I'm saying? There's so many caveats to being just a man in general. It's crazy. And so I don't fall into those norms or no shit like that. Like, go get yourself checked out, bro. Like, whatever you gotta do. Seriously.
Jason, how do you feel about mental and physical health in the black male community?
I mean, I'm definitely an advocate for all of it. I know
Because you
growing up,
blind right now, so I know you've been to the
I'm not
doctor.
I'm not blind. So
You not
first,
blind now. You were. You was going
but
blind.
anyway, um, my mom, she was big in making sure we went to the doctor, going to the dentist, and things like that. So now, when I started to do it myself, it was more of a financial thing. And I was like, man, you know what? I gotta make sure I'm here. But it's for the kids and things. Uh, so just started going to the doctor. So I get my yearlies. Then it was trying to get my teeth fixed. So I was like, man, I can finally get to a point where I can afford braces. So I got braces. I was like 30. Um, when it came to braces, and you just start hearing different things like granddad, just different health issues that he was going through. My great grandmother, stuff that she was going through, just stuff. Just by, through the grapevine, I heard about through my dad, like through different like health issues, and that's just something else. It's just far as us being able to make sure our kids know what's going on with us as well, because you may be going through something I may not never know. Like, dang, if you pad like it, I think I tell my dad, I told him that like he went to jail with some stuff that he kind of holds on to about how he felt my mom should have handled certain things. But I'm like, man, if you didn't prepare her for that, how can you be mad at her for how she handled a situation when she wasn't really responsible? Y'all was kids when she went away, and then you holding it against her like she was supposed to understand and gain this knowledge in the midst of trying to raise three kids as well as trying to handle the business that you left her with. You crazy as hell if you think that. So it's just certain things I don't understand. But like I said, I like that's a conversation for another day. Like I said, I feel like I haven't, like you, Rico, I haven't had, unlike you, I haven't had the conversation with my dad. That's just one thing I feel like is in the thing kind of got a mental hold on me. It's just somebody that's one person I just can't go to. Unfortunately, at 35, just to have a conversation with. But I feel like he would be receptive, but I don't know how I'm gonna react to the conversation, especially like because I guess I'm wrapped around like not necessarily getting what I want from it. Because I had a conversation with my mom about certain stuff and it didn't go the way I thought, but it was just like, you know what, it is what it is. It's water under the bridge. And as far as mental health, I definitely am an advocate for that. I didn't believe into depression until um, I was like 29, going into 30, and there was this guy I worked with. I didn't like that nigga. I told the nigga I didn't like that nigga. I hated the nigga. On God, I did. But he had something that I didn't have, and it was just like this it factor because he fucking sucked. He was an idiot. He was stupid. He was everything I wasn't, but he knew how to control the room. He come into the room, he may not know how to know shit about nothing, but he can just get people to draw to him. And it was just like, bro, you are a fucking idiot. But that was something I wish I knew how to. I wish I knew. So I can do this store from the house with my eyes closed. But because you know how to go into a room, you move it a little bit differently. Um, he got killed by a police officer one night. He was I didn't know he was spiraling the way he was spiraling because after eventually we got a little close. But he was spiraling. I don't know what happened. Him and the cop got into it. The rumor was he was dating a girl or whatnot, but then she shot up in the car, killed him. And I cried every day for I don't know about 6 months to a year every day because I was just like, bro, I don't know what it is about this situation that I just can't let go. But it had a hold on me for a long time. But in that, it was just like, dang, okay, I guess. And it was like, I was just like a robot. It was like the first time, and I'm like, dang, I don't know. It was just go to work, get the kids, and that was just watch, rinse, repeat, watch, rinse, repeat, watch, rinse, repeat until it was like, dang, now I got to something has to give, and that's when I began to try to do therapy. Um, because I didn't understand what was going on with my body, but I knew something was going on that I couldn't control, and it was something I didn't understand. Um, and like I said, within that, I had another friend. He died in the midst of that as well. But that it was just like a lot of death that was going on at the same exact time going into 30. Um, but like I said, within that, I definitely advocate for men to get therapy or to go for therapy, whether it be for stuff that you went through as a kid. Because now, even at 30, I'm getting to a point of being more open because the last therapist I went to, she wasn't great. She wasn't great at all. However, she got me to a point of understanding that Jason, you are an open person, but you're not an expressive person. So it may be a situation of me being able to talk about me being sexually assaulted as a kid. It's something I couldn't come to grips or come to terms with as a kid. And it can be a situation of going back to the beginning. We talk about the kid, 12, 13 years old, putting strippers on a person. I can remember like the first time seeing a naked woman. I probably was like 6 at a Snoop Dogg concert, Too Short concert. Shouldn't even been at the concert. But again, this is this my dad taking me to a concert not knowing, or him taking me to a place, giving me my first beer at 6, which is wild. Or it could be seeing a stripper in person for the first time. Again, 6, going through this, or it can be somebody sexually doing something to me, not with my dad, but at 6, 7 years old, and just that being the first experience when it comes to stuff like that. But just me being able to be open or be expressive about that and not suppressing these feelings or knowing like, hey, that was wrong in those moments, or not necessarily having. I never not necessarily had urges of those things, but it was things that I was exposed or experienced that I know I would hate for my kids to ever experience anything I experienced from 5 to 17, like 5 to 17. Just have the shit I went through. I would pray they never have to experience, never have to see. But these are things that I had to, and these are things that I've built up or built up walls toward, or being able to cover myself. But like I said, these are things that I also try to protect them from. So, but yeah, definitely a big advocate. Physically, mental, emotional, all these things. Because yeah, it's important. We got to be here for them, but we also got to be here for ourselves. But if we're not here for ourselves first, we can't be there for nobody else.
If there's never a time to be selfish, it's definitely with your own mental health. That's the perfect time to be selfish. Patrick, how are you feeling about mental health, physical health when it comes to black men?
Well, myself personally, I'm going through some mental stuff right now. I was like recently in the hospital because I had like some breakdowns and shit in life. So I'm starting therapy now. I see a psychiatrist. You know, I'm on medication and stuff. And I kind of grew up with my grandfather, and my dad, is kind of like not taking care of themselves to a point unless it was like serious. We never like we were independent, work for ourselves. We had a family business, so I worked in the corporate world for a while, and I came back and started working for them again. And so I never had like the insurance and stuff. So I was like, oh, if I don't get sick or if it's nothing major like a broken bone, I can do something at the house to heal it or whatever. And then for like my mental part, I had been like depressed for like 10 years of my life, especially after my family split up, my ex and my kids left. So for 10 years, I had told everybody. Everybody thought I was cool for 10 years, and then like I wore this mask and this costume, like I was Superman, like I was good. I didn't need nobody and everything. And like the last 6 months, my life just kind of changed just as I'm getting older and kind of knowing that my role as a man is just my kid's life. And just kind of thinking about decisions that I made. So that shit started weighing on me like heavy. And so like the last couple of months, and then after the holidays, I just like broke down. And I kind of scared my kids, so I was like texting them some things like, "Yo, if I'm not here, I need you to, make sure you take care of your mom, and just know that I love you and stuff." And I never had a plan to do something to myself, but I just was not trying to do nothing to prolong my life at the point. So I got to the point where basically my mom, when I talked to my kids, they called my mom and was like, "Yo, I think something wrong. Can you go check on them?" 'Cause I live by myself, and when I'm going through it, I like shut everybody the fuck off. I'm just sitting in the crib, just in my own world. And so my mom came over and was like, "You need to go to the hospital. We going right now." I thank my mom for that. Mom, I love you for that shit, though. I appreciate that shit because you saved my life that day.
That's real. Seriously.
Mhm.
So she took me to the hospital, and I had a heart condition since I was a kid. And they realized that I had my pacemaker wasn't working. My heart rate is at 30 beats per minute, no matter what. And I was in my mind that I didn't want to. I told them I didn't want them to resuscitate me, and if I didn't want my pacemaker replaced. And they were like, "That's your decision, but we can't let you go home like that." And so after a couple of days, and then my mom and dad talking to me and stuff, I made the decision to get my pacemaker replaced. But I'm going through my own battle right now. So like I said, I started therapy. Man, Helene, she's been like the realest nigga in the world to me right now. Not to call you a nigga, but you've been like real as fuck. She been there for me like every fucking day, making sure I'm straight. She just come and just, we just kick it and chill. Just let me talk to her. My family's been, behind my back. So, you know, everybody, if you got something going on, even if you don't go to a therapist, just talk about that shit. Find you a group of people that everybody can relate to in some form or fashion when it comes to it. And like men, if we got something wrong with our bodies, go to the doctor and get yourself checked out. Because, like you said, people do need us here, and you don't want the thought of what you dying affect your children or your mother. Because we're supposed to bury our parents. Our parents ain't supposed to bury us at the end of the day.
Fact.
That part.
So, when I had my thoughts and stuff, and just not taking care of myself, I just had to like recently picture like my mom's going through my grandmother having chemo and radiation right now for cancer. Like my dad has a tumor in his mouth, and they both was like, "Man, we going through this stuff. We don't need to worry about you as well too." And then one thing that kind of turned was like telling them I did want to be resuscitated in front of my mom and just see that look on her face when I said that shit. And I was like, that's selfish of myself. But then also my headspace wasn't here to, at the time. But man, if you guys any kind of issue, just talk to somebody. If you can't, if you feel like, professional help is what you need, don't do it. And take yourself to the doctor on a regular basis and keep your body in shape, man. As I'm say, I'm on my new journey of life. Like I feel like I got to restart because when I woke up off the from having my surgery, I feel like something pushed my soul back into my body and told me you got a second chance. You better get it right this time. So,
That's a
but
blessing,
again, I
man.
want to tell my mama thank you again for making me go to the hospital that day.
It's a blessing, man.
That's
Glad.
real, Pat,
That
man.
is
For
a
real.
big
Yeah,
it's a
We
big
definitely,
glad to
man.
deal.
have you here, man.
Yep,
Appreciate that.
for real.
Chris, I know you don't you are I playfully call you the gym bro. So you seem to be very health minded. Do you do your regular doctor's visits? How are you with your mental health?
So first off, like Jason and Pat, thank y'all for sharing that. I know that at least to you, Patrick, I'm a stranger, but thank you for open up about that. It's super cliche,
Real.
but like we should be have space to be vulnerable. I mean, I know a lot of black men like we feel like we got to be tight and not show emotion. So definitely got to
That part.
destigmatize that. But as far as for me, so like so I have a background in public health, so I'm aware of like medical racism is definitely a thing. Like racial health disparities are definitely a thing. So like anyone listening to this, like get more than one opinion. Like you're gonna know your body better than someone else, even sometimes a doctor. And even I'm not gonna go into the rabbit hole of just like how the physician's office has become like a business and they get you in and out. So you're not going to
Right.
really get that conversation that you may have in decades past. So like if you feel like you're not getting adequate quick care, if you feel like they didn't ask you enough questions, I know that like it can get like costly and time prohibitive to try to
Go to another person.
yeah, to go to another person. But like if your life is on the line, especially looking at Chadwick Boseman, someone of his stature dying of something that feels like it could have been preventable, possibly. It's just having so many black men. We die young, man. Rappers die young. Like black men, we just don't live very long. So like, get more than one opinion. But to answer your question, Helene, like I don't get sick too often, but I'm not anti-doctor. Like I'm gonna like Rico said, like I'm gonna use my insurance. Like if I have it and I'm paying for it, like I'm gonna use that shit. But also because like I seen like my dad and like his uncles and my grandfather be sick and just never take a sick day, never like checking on their own health. So you see that, and like it's like damn, like, and it's not even so much of like they was trying to be tough. It's like that was be expected of them. So like the
Ha,
world
that
has
part.
changed. So it's like I feel like it's been more accommodating for us to be able to like, yo, if we sick, we can get checked on. So for real, like our fathers, our grandfathers, they kind of paved the way for us. Like they took those L's. They weren't able to be like, I'm not feeling well. Let me take some time off. They didn't have that. They didn't have that freedom to do that. They would have been seen as soft or what have you. So we definitely got to
Or they
thank
got to
them.
make the money.
Exactly. Or you sometimes, or even logistically, you just like can't take a day off. So if I'm
Yeah.
not feeling well, if it's like a cold or something like that, then nah, I'm good. But if something truly feels wrong, then I'm definitely going to then I feel like comfortable and confident enough that like, I can go to the doctor and not feel like I'm soft or anything. I've like
Hmm.
Rico, I've worked in mental health. I think I told you this, Elaine. I'm actually back in school to get licensed as a mental health counselor. So I definitely believe in it. So like if someone so I believe in it. I've never gone to a counselor for various reasons. I just haven't had like the opportunity. I probably should still go, but I definitely believe in mental health, even if things are going well. Like just figure out ways to like keep things like continue to go well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a crisis, but like
Yeah.
if you are feeling like down, if you're
Maintenance.
feeling depressed, the
Maintenance.
maintenance, absolutely. I mean, even for myself, like I said, I'm a very anxious person. So like, and I get anxiety sometimes that like I don't even know why. So that's probably actually something now we're talking about. It's something I should probably like talk to somebody about because I don't like that feeling. Like just this nervousness that I can't explain. So I mean, yeah, so I definitely believe in it. I know that sometimes, like logistically, like not everyone has the option, but if you have the means to do so, don't let society or anyone else tell you that you shouldn't. Like you can go and not tell anybody. Let that just between you
Yeah.
and your therapist. So that's
Fact.
that's everything that I have though.
Even nowadays, even our generation, I have learned to do it with my kids. If my kids come to me and tell me I'm just there's something going on or I'm not feeling right, I have allowed them to now, like, you can take you a mental health day. There's no reason that you missing one day is going to be detrimental to, middle school. It's not, it ain't that crucial. You can take a day and stay home. And it's like, it's ingrained in us that how many times did we covet the perfect attendance award?
I am
And
a
we were
modern
and we
nigga.
were going and we
I'm
were
taking
going to
me a
school
day off.
sick. That part. Because I look, I will. It is many a day that one of you will call or text me, and it'll be 8 or 9, 10 o'clock on a Monday, and I'll be right there. I'm like, I ain't
Fact.
going in. I ain't in. I'm not feeling it. But I have that came over time though, because me 10, 9, 7, 6 years ago would have been at work regardless of how I was
Fact.
feeling. George, I know that you work in mental health and have done so, a faceted of mental health and have done so, even physical health, because I mean you deal with veterans over the course of many years. How do you feel when it comes to just our community and even yourself when it comes to mental and physical health?
with mental health, and like I said, I work with disabled vets. There had, and I've been doing it for almost 20 years now. So like, I don't. There's not a 15-minute stretch of my career where I don't hear PTSD.
Are you a vet, George?
No,
Okay.
yeah, but it's just a part of society, and you look back, especially at the history of it, like, back in the day when I first started, we had paper files. So I would look at, sometimes like World War II guys, they used to call PTSD shell shock, and just be like, hey, come back, walk it off, you'll be fine.
Hmm.
Not really like, and it was to a point where even when they started calling it PTSD, they associated with and not to be insensitive to anybody's personal testimony, but like they only associated with children that had been abused. So they were like, as an adult, you shouldn't even be dealing with PTSD.
Mhm.
So like I've seen those attitudes kind of become more liberal and more, um, accepting. And the thing is, but you look back at society, like we laugh about it, especially in the black community is, my grandfather, my uncles would tell shit about, get beat with frying pans and, timing belts off engines and shit. And it was like, you don't realize, like, everybody's, my, especially, around my age, like all the grandfathers, some of the great uncles and stuff were World War II vets. And we're coming back, and I could, and we're serving because that's just what you did, and that was probably your best. That might have been your best chance as a black person coming to the community. So going in 16, 17, 18 years old, literally going into combat zones, coming back being treated horribly. In America, where your white counterparts are celebrated as heroes, and then you raising five kids and having nightmares, and I mean, like it just is horrible stuff. So I think that there's an emphasis on mental health that is super important. I've been to individual therapy sessions, not regular therapy, but I mean, if you're dealing with something that you can't deal with, if you're dealing with something that you think that you might hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, because one of the saddest stats that I learned when I started this new job was that, like, since 2001, I think they said it's like 4 or 5 times the amount of veterans. No, it's the amount of veterans that were killed in combat. 4 or 5 times that have killed themselves due to suicide since coming back. So
Jesus.
like mental health is something that, if you don't, like, literally, you might hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, and like, please go talk to somebody. And and in terms with physical health, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, my father died. I'm older now than my father was when he died. My father died at 42 years old, and he was a smoker, which we all know, we knew back then, but we definitely know now was horrible for you. And the thing with him, when he died, basically the coroner said that he'd been having small heart attacks for months, and the one that took his life was just so massive, there was nothing that they could do. And so for me, personally, just my personal testimony is that, you know, like Rico and everybody else says, like, yeah, it's my insurance. They take it out my check. I'm absolutely gonna go use it. But in the big scheme of things, I mean, especially with the black community, hypertension, cholesterol, diabetes, these things are not always going to. You're not always going to have chest pains. It's not just going to be your left arm's going to be hurting. It's just, you may have a diabetic stroke. You may have an aneurysm. You may have a heart attack. So whatever it is, get in front of it. Get in
Mm.
front of it. Get checked out. I mean, your family, your friends, people want you around. So I mean, as much as, and I think it goes hands in hand. And I think it's a thing about, valuing yourself, being selfish with your health, being selfish with your mental health, because at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going on with you. Nobody knows what's going on in your head but you. And you have to, the way, hey man, you put 3,000 miles on that car, go get an oil change. Like, oh man, looks like your puppy needs your shots. Like, take that good care of yourself. Is the big thing, and the thing that, we, as black men, just as people in general, we need to keep in mind.
And
Mr.
can I say one more
Sterling.
thing, real George?
Sure.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Rico.
We have a hard time. We want to go when the engine is about to blow out
Right.
instead of us going when we supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to go when everything is going good, because like George said, it's a silent killer. And a lot of times we can avoid a whole bunch of stuff just doing regular checkups versus going when the damn timing chain and the engine finna blow.
Right.
Mr. Sterling, last but not least, what kind words do you have about the mental health and physical health journey?
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna say this. To the three gentlemen who just basically gave their testimonies, that is a sign of cycles being broken. No
Facts.
longer are we sitting here holding on to what many would say the sins of our ancestors, right? And the only reason they call it sins, and I don't even want to call it sin. Let's take it out of that. They had nowhere to go. Even when they had medical care that was available, it wasn't being geared towards them, or they used them as experiments. Especially with black men, we look at the Tuskegee experiment. No, it wasn't that they injected them with syphilis. These men just had syphilis. Let's just see
They
what it
just did.
does to the
They
human
just didn't
body.
cure them of it.
They just
Yeah.
didn't cure them. And I know we're speaking about black men, but black women, the whole practice of gynecology is on the bodies of black women because black women could take pain better than white women. Again, why y'all with white women then if they that damn fragile? Um, I'm just throwing it out there. That's my
On
humor.
our last episode of Talking Ish with Friends.
That's all right. We ain't got paid for it, so be it. But no, to see that we are no longer afraid to speak out and yell out our pain. For me, I haven't been to therapy. I haven't. And it's not saying that my brain is perfect. No. We all have our issues, but I haven't had that moment to say, "Oh yeah, I need to do it. I need to do it." But for health, shit. When I was diagnosed type 2 diabetic at 24, man, my mama can attest to it. I cried. I literally cried because I know what it does to us, and I saw family members who passed away from it. Um, but then I have to say I was lucky because I do have a family relative who is a physician, and he's an old school physician. He ain't just, oh well, let's do it digitally. That man put hands to body, and he wasn't afraid to say, "Cuz, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. 10% start off. Not even 10. Go with 5% body weight loss." And I'm like, okay. I bullshit myself. But it was something that clicked in me where I'm not gonna lie, the heaviest I've ever been was 400 pounds. People don't believe it, but I was. I was a 400-pound fucker walking the streets. I wasn't Dr. Non big. I didn't have to go on my 600
He
pound
won
life yet.
600 pounds. What did you get
You
down
know,
to, Anthony? What was your smallest?
my smallest was 260. And I wasn't even a chubby kid when I was younger. I just got bigger as time went on. And a friend of mine who was studying to be a therapist and a psychiatrist, she said, "You tell me what was the worst time in your life?" And I say high school. And she said, "Well, break it down. Why was it?" I said, "Because my high school closed. I didn't have many friends at that high school, but now I'm thrust into this new world. And I had to find a way to adapt." And what was so crazy, I had gained more friends in that school than I did in my previous school. But I didn't feel like I was a part of anything. So my grades slipped. All the people were
Is
like,
that
"Man,
where
you
you
so
is
smart."
that when you were your heaviest?
My heaviest was when I lost my first job. I lost my job with the station because I didn't think I was affected mentally by it. But the words kept coming to play, well, you're a big guy and you're very intimidating and you're this and you're this. And I started hearing all this negativity. I just started not giving a damn. And I just ate and chill out, ate, chill out. I'd go do my volunteer work once in a while and then I'd keep eating. And it was one day I was laying down and it felt like somebody cut the light switch off. Everything was black. Like seriously.
Oh
And
wow.
it was a quick second and I just sprung up. Imagine 400 pounds just jumping out of bed. And I ran to the bathroom and I got on the scale. And the scale said 399.9. And I said, "Oh, the scale's just being nice." It didn't want to say fat fuck. And, because that the next number is game over. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this no more. So I was going. I already had a doctor's appointment coming, and the thing is that I couldn't afford Cobra, so I had to borrow money to pay for my doctor's appointments. So once I got in there, I had a new doctor because my cousin who was my doctor, he had moved on to go work at the VA. And I'm not going to war for nobody just to stay healthy. Fuck that. I ain't shooting nobody for this country. But what killed me, what got me and what woke me up was it was a younger doctor, Dr. James Stevens. I was older. No, we were about the same age. And he's like, Anthony, here's some things I can give you suggestions on. I started doing it. And I went from that 400 to 350. And then I got down to 320 and then it stopped. Cause in my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm good. I can keep doing it. No, it wasn't until my dad died I got to my smallest. And that's when I got into the 260 range. And I was like, all right, I got to keep it. Sometimes I yo yo. Sometimes I got my beach body. My whole phase. And when I see my collarbone, I'm in my whole phase. So
Nigga.
what?
He
Oh,
say when you can see this bone in
when you
his
see
whole
this bone
face.
here, oh,
Hey,
I'm a
You
hoe.
say he
and
outside.
and know the
Ah,
feeling. Hey, when you
stupid.
look good, you feel
You're
good.
good.
That part. He say
And when
I'm
you feel good,
outside on
you
these
hoeing.
bitches.
But that's on the physical aspect, and seeing my sister, even though she did the weight loss surgery, she's doing so much better. Seeing my mom losing weight, and I wish my dad, like in so many ways, man. I watch my dad bust his ass at that post office night in, night out. But when it got to the open heart surgery, I didn't even notice until we brought him home. I brought him home from a VA appointment because I read his paper. They were like clinically depressed. And I'm like, since when you been depressed? And he just finally opened up and told me everything. And I didn't know he was going to the therapist there, because they require therapy sessions. That's law now. And when that happened, I was like, damn, okay, and I finally understood. And he started to feel a little bit better. But I will give this and say this: if any relative you have has open heart surgery, get them to a therapist immediately after it's done. Because their studies have shown that open heart surgery, it messes with brain chemistry and depression
Really?
strikes automatically. It's strange. But his passing woke me up fully, and I was like, nah, I have to take care of myself, because he passed away from a heart attack that turned into a stroke. So he had, like I say, the black man combination, hypertension, heart, diabetes. Boom, game over. So for me, on the physical aspect, I'm trying to keep, moving forward, moving, positively. Mentally, as much as I can, I just haven't gotten to the point where I need to go to a therapist, because I still have my family. They always ask me how I'm doing. My best friend constantly calls. So, and when I tell her I'm good, she's like, "You're fucking lying." And then I'm just like, "All right, okay, here's what's happening, blah, blah, blah." And then I feel better afterwards, because sometimes you can either go to a therapist or you just need someone to listen. And I think
That is it.
that's what's missing. That was what was missing for our parents, grandparents, and the parents before them. They didn't have nobody to talk to. I mean, you're working in
Because
the
it was
cotton fields,
taboo to air your dirty laundry.
right? Now, black folk, you know how we religified, sanctified, and all that
That
shit. We
part.
thought the church was our therapy in a lot of ways, and sometimes, yes, going to our pastor, going to a priest, hitting the confessional, sure. But at the end of the day, they were kind of judging you,
Say
especially
that
if you went
shit.
for that religion. They judging you. If you talking about, I'm having some thoughts and things of this and blah blah blah. Well, if you're Catholic, say 10 Hail Marys in a novena and you good.
They
No,
wanted
not
the gossip.
yeah, get let go and let God. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just need a person to listen. And whether it's someone who's professional or whether it's your friend. And that's when you find out who truly loves your ass. And I think what Patrick said, that told me right there, that's family. Because there are people that'll literally tell you being a drama queen
Yep, watch you
and just
drown.
keep it and watch you drown and keep it going. But to have somebody like Patrick said with his mom, or Jason with his therapist, Rico with his therapist, me with my family, you have to have that solid foundation of support, because being us here and now,
Hmm.
it's not as bad as what our dads, uncles, grandfathers and went through, but I'll be
But it
damned,
ain't
man.
great.
It ain't great. Yeah, it is not as great as people want it to be. And when you hear all these folks like your Tim Scotts and your Candace Owens and your Hodge twins and all that BS that they spewing,
Gross.
look, all skin folk and kinfolk.
That
Facts.
part. That
And
part.
Facts.
if they are not there for you to be there for you, I'm gonna do it. Rare's not here, so take this, Rare. I am quoting MF Doom. Sometimes you gotta cut people off like a light switch.
That part.
And you
You
have
know
to
the
clean
hardest
out your
part,
circle.
and that I just thought about, the hardest part, and we talk about mental health, right? When me and my wife, before we got married or whatever, you know the hardest part about our relationship was the dynamic of me being built on survival and her being built off love. So my
Mm,
mentality was so much different from hers. Like,
yeah.
she grew up in a two-parent household. They had money and shit like that.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of stuff that I didn't tell my wife out of the gate, because it was like, first off, I really didn't even know how to be in a relationship. So I learned so much through therapy. I really did not know how to be in a relationship. And when my mom and them would tell her stories about me, like, one of the most craziest stories that my wife ever heard from my mom and them was, my mom lights got cut off. I remember her crying, and that's how I started selling drugs, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I'm 12, 13 years old in the streets now because our fucking lights is off. Like, I couldn't even, I didn't have an opportunity for a childhood, like growing up fast. And so my wife, when she hears that, she like, the fuck? I was 12, 13 years old. My dad was just trying to figure out what I was wearing to school. You know what I'm saying? Like, circumstances is just so different. So I say all that to say, when we first started talking, we bumped heads a lot on ideologies, and I had to literally get out of my own way for me to start coming to a median and understanding that um sometimes my survivalist instincts and my common sense doesn't have to be met with every situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a man? Is that the inner "this is what a man does" voice that you hear, or was that? Do you think that's a totality of being what you think a man is supposed to be, or was that a you thing?
It was a accumulation. I mean, it was a bunch of things, honestly. Growing up where they they're saying like, hey, because there's so many pressures on being a man. You supposed to be this. You supposed to be the sole provider. You got to do this. You got to do X, Y, and Z. And I don't think men get an opportunity to. I think, and this gonna be some wild shit to say, but I really feel like sometimes a man don't get an opportunity to even understand what dreaming is.
Oh, that's facts. Oh, that's
Yeah.
facts, bro. Oh, that's what you spit. That's
Oh
100%
wow.
facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even, I know so many people that can't even tell you what a dream or even goal setting is because they never got the opportunity to sit down and think about it. They're always on the go,
Damn.
literally.
Mm-hmm.
100%. 100%. No, I totally, just to piggyback off of that, like you mentioned growing up off survival, like this isn't my testimony, but people like my father, like his side of the family, they grew up poor. I'm not gonna say dirt poor, but they grew up in poverty. And you just have to make it to the another day. And it's like your dreams, your aspirations, your hopes, what makes you happy is put on the back burner just to survive. So you right.
Fact.
Honestly, having a dream is kind of like a it's a what's the word I'm looking for?
Luxury.
Thank you, bro. I had a brain freeze. It's a luxury, bro. Being able to be so comfortable in life, and I'm not saying that dismissively, but to be so comfortable in life that I can say I want more. like other than just surviving. So like that's a luxury, bro. So it's sad because like there are so many people that wanted to do more. Like I think about my grandfather, like he had to just survive. Like whatever dreams he had, like he never opened it up to the family. He never opened up to anyone because I think that he experienced depression because he wanted to do more. He wanted to dream, but he couldn't. And I think that kills you, man. It makes it hard to live. So honestly, like it kind of really breaks my heart that people just have to like their dreams die and they're not even living anymore. They just surviving. But nah, that's facts though, Rico.
You
Damn.
know, and it's kind of crazy, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but it reminds me of a Boondocks episode, the Uncle Ruckus specific episode when they made the joke about the color purple. And Daddy Ruckus was coming to visit, or Daddy Ruckus had died, and they show his like back when he was a kid, and how his parents would, his mama sheltered him. But there was a moment where Ruckus as a kid said, "Daddy, I want to be a so and
That's
so,"
one
and
of my favorite
and
episodes.
the daddy said, "Nigga, did I
Nigga,
catch you
you wanna
trying
be
to be
something?
ambitious and do better with your life?" And smacked the hell out of Ruckus. And and look, it's crazy because I'm sitting there laughing, and I'm like, "Whoa, why am I laughing at this?" It's funny because it's Don DC Curry, but that's how a lot of us were. That's how a lot of us were raised, especially like my grandfather. My grandfather had to leave school in the first grade. The Depression had hit is 1929,
My grandma.
Louisiana, straight out the country, and never went back to school.
Damn.
Joined the Navy. Thank goodness he was in Clearwater. He didn't have to fight in the Pacific theater of operation, but his brother did. His brother fought in the army. But it's not funny, excuse me. The craziest thing is me being a grandson. And I remember I used to say, "Oh well, that's Junior. Junior gonna be our lawyer. Junior gonna be our doctor." And I'm sitting there going, "I am not operating on y'all, and I am not getting y'all out of jail. Y'all should have known better." But he never once told me I couldn't do. Even when I told him, "Pop, I'm going to college for this," he said, "Well, be the best you can be in that." My dad was the same way, and that I was lucky. I have to say, I lucked out in that. There was never a moment where I would say my dreams were stifled by the men in my life. I stifled my dreams when I made, goofy mistakes. But I've never had where the elders in my family said, "Boy, you can't do that. Don't even think about it. You're out your mind." Now, I have a cousin who want to be a rapper. Yeah, we clown him.
How old is he?
Oh, how old is she?
Oh,
30,
she wants to be.
36? I'm like, girl,
Oh,
give
Oh
it up.
no. Tell her to
Still,
give
Give
that
it up.
shit up.
yeah, she
Give
need to
it
get
up.
Tell
on
her to give it up.
Indeed.
Give it
Tell her
up.
to give
Just
it
go
up.
to
she
go to
ain't
work.
cashed you yet.
Yeah, I want to add one thing. I want to add one thing to it. Parents, go get your kids that seriously they play contact sports. Go get their head scanned because
Hmm.
Yes.
I remember as a
Yeah.
kid playing
Yes.
Yeah.
football and
Yep.
contact sports.
And then
Man,
Anthony, to piggyback off what you were saying.
Hold on,
Oh, I'm sorry.
George. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
no, yeah, get your kids brain scanned because concussions happen at a younger age than what you think than just in the
Hmm.
NFL level or professional sports levels. I got concussions in high school playing baseball every year. Every year in high school, I played varsity 4 years in a row. I took a fastball to the head every year the
Ooh.
first game. It was like I don't know what it was, but every year I played high school baseball, I took a fastball to the
That
head
explains
and got
so much.
concussions. All
Patrick,
right,
I think that they just hated you. They
I
didn't
That
like you,
guess.
brother.
that explains
Whoo,
so
man.
We're
Oh
gonna
much.
no.
set the
Niggas
tone with
can't
this
be
nigga.
good at
But
everything. God
Hey,
also,
damn.
but with that, stop telling kids to walk shit off. If a motherfucker's telling you,
true.
"Mommy, I see stars," go
Yeah.
get this motherfucker
Yeah. No,
checked.
no.
But I
You're
remember as
right.
a kid playing when I played until my football career got cut off. I got my bell rung a couple times. I walk it off, walk it off. Or they'll pull your pants up and let some air get in there. It's like something ain't right. I ain't feeling good
Right.
right now. Then if you throw up, you don't throw up, they don't say nothing to you. But yeah, parents go get your kids' head scanned, especially every after football, just to make sure they straight. And
Yeah.
if you feel like you see your kid get their bell rung, take them out. Hey, we going
Hell
to the
yeah.
hospital right now because the players that have perished from head trauma in the NFL is longer than what people think it is. It's been since they were a kid because they've been playing football at that point 30, 40 years of their life.
Yeah.
So
George, would you
Mm.
have?
No, I was just saying, just to piggyback off what Anthony was saying, is that you know, family, friends, whatever, also being a safe place for black men to be vulnerable is also very important. Like I have a good friend of mine has a history of colon cancer. So I know your colonoscopy is supposed to start at 45. He went and got his at 40, and just to like sit around as men, like the amount of niggas who didn't think they put you to sleep, and it's just like, no, it's not sodomy. Like they put you to sleep, it's goddamn surgical procedure. Like there's, they put you to sleep, numb you up. It's not a thing like that. It's just important because a lot of people don't know. Like, oh, I ain't going to the doctor. They ain't gonna check my prostate. It's just like, hey, nigga, when you pissing yourself in traffic, like, go get checked out. Like, go get looked at. Go ahead and make sure that things are okay.
Yeah.
George, you know what that's from too? Hearsay niggas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's all that is.
yeah,
That's all that is hearsay
yeah.
niggas. Medical advances have really came a long way. Now, back in the day, they probably did what they, you know what I'm saying, what that person said, but now it's totally different now. Like they make it a comfortable experience for you because they know how uncomfortable it is for a person.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
let me
Yeah.
tell you, for somebody who has had a colonoscopy, you won't remember it.
Yeah.
And now I get why propofol was Michael Jackson's best goddamn friend. Cause
They
woo!
doped you up like that, Anthony?
Oh no, they hit you with well, they hit me with propofol. And I'm sitting there and the guy said, Mr. Sterling, whenever you're ready, I'm gonna do the injection. I just need you to count backwards from 10. And I was like, okay, sure. It went through, and when I tell you it is cold, your hand, I mean, it just hit, and I went 10, 9. The next thing I remember is my bed was shaking, and I'm thinking, y'all better not be playing with my ass. But it was really just them pushing me back to recovery. I kid you not. I
Look
felt
at Anthony.
it was like I was Ace Ventura in the shower. I just felt like the crying game had happened. I'm like, y'all not playing with me like this.
Uh, like
And
that
lo and
Peter
behold,
Griffin episode.
yeah, they were just pushing me back, but I kept hearing. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. Dinner must be had first. And when they got me back,
I get no flowers or nothing.
yeah, show me love. I'm a loving human being,
I was gonna say, light a candle, nigga. Damn, have some class.
but I kid you not.
You just gonna take it?
I offered willingly for a steak dinner, but they would. You know what was so crazy? The doctor, because I was a year late. I had procrastinated. I didn't know they moved it. I didn't hear that. Colonoscopies that moved. It was 45 now. It used to be at 50.
Yeah.
And the doctor came and he said, "Mr. Sterling, they probably told you already. We found a polyp. It was a millimeter in size. It was not. We're going to take it regardless to be examined. This, that, and the other." He said, "But I'll tell you this. Other than that, that was the one of the most cleanest colons I've ever seen." I went,
You was proud of that shit, wasn't you? You was like, yes.
and let me tell you something. I love my mama to death, but that heifer is not a good healthcare person. She does not like to take care of people. This woman literally sat there, and I'm assed out,
Literally.
literally, and I'm tooting like a damn tuba. Instead of, baby, let me put the cover over you, or baby, take the cover. Oh man, goddamn, why you just passing? Oh, you're just fighting everywhere. God, and she on the phone with her oldest sister. So that old woman, and they
That's
loud on
traumatic.
the phone, embarrassing me. I remember I'm in room 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They all laughing at me. Everybody laughing. My mama,
I'm
the comedian.
sorry, Anthony.
No, 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 no.
Oh.
When they came back, they told me, "Look, the only thing is, we because we found a polyp, you're gonna have to come back in 5. I think it was 5 or 7 years instead of 10." I was like, "God damn it!" But I'm glad I did it.
No.
And with that started kind of a chain reaction because I'm doing my prostate. My doctor even told me, "Anthony, you could wait till you're 50." No,
No.
hit me up right now. I don't
Mhm.
care. I just want to, because being diabetic, the thing is with diabetes, You may have it under control, but something can creep up. Something
Mm-hmm.
can happen. Your body just goes left on you. But no, I want to be on the safe side, and I'm okay with that, you know. And he's like, okay, well, we'll do the digital. Mm-mm. I will say a prayer. Do the fingers, buddy. Here we go.
I thought it was just
Take it.
one finger. Is it multiple?
No, it's one finger. It's called
Oh,
a digital exam.
like
But
shit.
they have the urine exam that they test, but it's better to do the digital exam because they can test the firmness of the prostate and make sure that it ain't. It's supposed to feel like this. Like if you touch this part of your nose, this little
Mhm.
crease, that's how your
Hmm,
prostate is supposed to feel. If it's
interesting.
too soft, they got to do something about it. But if it's rigid, that is a sign that it could be cancer. So, as a
All
little
right, for
note from y'all,
all you 45 and uppers, get ready. Touch the
get
bridge of
get
your
get
nose.
touch the bridge of your nose.
I mean,
Do it.
unfortunately,
Do
I
it
can't do
now.
a self-exam on the prostate. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right,
That's it.
we're gonna wrap it up because we're getting long winded, and Anthony's gonna
Yes.
have to make this a two-parter because I don't do editing. So,
We gonna give it uncut,
oh, you want
Raw.
unfiltered.
okay,
Oh yeah, they gonna
okay.
watch it. And look, if for those who are watching, look, thank y'all so much. Matter of fact, more importantly, for the brothers who decided to join in this conversation, George, Patrick, Rico, Jason, Chris, man, look, I really appreciate it, man. Truly,
No
truly
doubt, no doubt.
appreciate y'all being a part of this. This was in the making for a while. Helene kept getting on me. You need to do an all guys episode, and I'm like, I know, I know. We
Because it
got to
just be too
work
This her,
on
much
it.
this her, her,
estrogen sometimes on
her
the
Yeah.
this
pod,
her
even for
version,
me.
her version
What,
of an
Jason?
orgy.
Shut up, Jason. What did you say?
It's your version of an orgy.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm
Nope.
just here for the
Nope.
gangbang.
A
what's a
Helene hot pen. Can she talk?
Surprise,
But
motherfucker.
what's a it's like a what's a new name for a Zoom orgy? A Zorgy?
a Zorgy?
Yeah, a Zorgy.
I don't
I
know.
don't like that because I don't get no feeling.
Yeah, there it is. It's like wearing a condom. Go in raw.
Ain't no
No, don't
benefits
do
to
it.
this shit.
Don't
Give
We
me
gonna,
do
we
it.
raw
gonna, we
shit.
gonna call it a
Don't do it.
zoomie.
Nah, but look, seriously, thank y'all so much. For those who are watching, look, hey, if you want to break it up in sections, great. Please do it. Please watch. If this is your first episode, trust me, it don't get this long, but this was such an important conversation that needed to be had. So you're welcome, but also we're sorry. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't forget, look, watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It'll only take a second. Blue thumbs up. Leave us a blue thumbs up because blue thumbs are cool. And hit that bell, turn your notifications to all so you'll be notified when a new episode of Talking Ish, a podcast amongst friends, drops. So you can be pleased and learn some stuff because sadly we are in a time where education is dying and you need to
Mhm.
learn as well as be entertained. So, rounding it all off for our good friend George, Patrick, Chris, Jason from the Was It Good Though podcast. Rico, you came on time, brother. We appreciate
I
you. So we knew this was
know.
an important episode. Rico did not just pop in. You know, he didn't do like Kendrick. He wasn't the boogeyman. He didn't have to pop up and show nigga. We appreciate you for that. To our moderator, Miss Coretta with the Beretta, Miss Elaine Terragano, thank you so much for
She had a dream.
Coretta had a dream. But no, thank you
Gang,
so much.
gang.
Bang bang. Thank you so much, my friend. That is it. That is all. So until next time, if you out in them streets, please be good. And if you can't be good, be careful. Peace.